Nicholas, how you doing?
Fantastic, Danny.
It's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Are you stoked?
I'm pumped.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
God.
Well, I'm pumped and stoked. Okay. Nicholas Cherion, you're a convert to Orthodox Christianity from Pentecostalism.
Mm-hmm.
You are ethnically Romanian. You hold the national record for the most extracorporeal weight on you during a pull-up, as well as records in muscle-ups and dips. What is your life story?
That's quite the introduction. Thanks, Danny. My life story, well, I grew up in Texas, been there my whole life, and growing up to Romanian immigrant family. Mm-hmm. So I grew up with 7 younger siblings as well. So I got to learn a lot about responsibility and drive and sacrifice early on. But it was a blessing, and I wouldn't change anything. We didn't really grow up wealthy. We kind of grew up in poverty, and I wouldn't have changed it. I prefer it that way.
It's
honestly.
better. It's better.
It is. You get perspective, but I grew up Pentecostal and didn't know anything about the Orthodox Church except that they were heretical, that they're idol worshippers. Even in a lot of the Romanian Pentecostal sermons, they really disparage Orthodox Church, and I didn't know why. That being said, I love the Romanian Pentecostal communities and the people, and a lot of my family and friends are still that way. And it was just me that converted 7 years ago.
Oh,
Glory
wow.
to God.
Wonderful.
Yeah, before this huge wave of people coming, which is an even bigger blessing, thanks to channels like yours online and a lot of others. And so I grew up, started to get into fitness around high school because I grew up very skinny. I'm still pretty lean and skinny myself. The hardest thing for me is to gain weight, officially.
Oh, we have the opposite problem.
Yeah,
okay.
my coach, he gets mad because he asked me to eat more and more. And I said, I can't do this. And then I got to fast too, right? So we can talk about that. But in high school, I got a little bit more into fitness in college. And I started to question Orthodoxy, or not Orthodoxy, but the Protestant worldview about sola scriptura. And I was a little flustered because you'd ask one confession of faith and another the same exact question about faith or practice, and you get totally different answers. And me being Pentecostal at the time, I started to disagree with the idea that you have to speak in tongues to have this criteria to basically have evidence of the Holy Spirit. That bothered me. So I started to sola scriptura my way into Orthodoxy, but I didn't know it at the time. So what my friend, he coined. He said, Nick sola scriptura is his way into Orthodoxy. Interesting. So a very intellectual journey to Orthodoxy. And then I, as of December of 2024, got into street lifting, which is the sport that I train for and compete in on a national level. Okay. I'm also the state chair for Texas, so I host all the competitions.
What is street lifting?
It's a good question. Street lifting is the powerlifting of calisthenics. So think of it as the 1 rep maximal strength sport of 4 lifts. And there's 2 formats, the all 4 or the classic. And so the all 4 is the muscle up, pull up, dip, and back squat. So weighted muscle up, weighted pull up, weighted dip, and your back squat. 1 rep max, you get 3 attempts. Just like powerlifting, you have strict form, strict rules, judges, there's criteria, and there's weight classes.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, glory to God, I hold the weighted pull record in the United States for now until someone takes it. Someone take it from me.
How much weight was it that you had? So in addition to your own body weight, how much weight did you have on you for that pull-up?
In freedom units, it was 223 pounds or 101.25 kilograms.
That is more than
I barely got it, too. That was in November. I originally pulled the record. So when I met you last year, I had the previous record, which is at 200 pounds. So I beat my own record for over, about 23 pounds from April to November of last year. So we'll see how this year goes.
So to give the viewers an idea of how much weight that is, I weigh 215. I mean, you did a pull-up basically with me holding on to you.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is probably one of the hardest things you can do because it's all about relative strength, not just because it's a sport about your relative body weight and how much weight you can move in space, right? Because powerlifting, you grab onto a barbell and you move the weight. So you're moving weight through space, whereas street lifting, you're moving your body through space with a bunch of extra weight on you.
Balance, coordination.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
And then what's the record for the dips? And what is a dip? I mean, people understand a chin up, they understand a pull up.
Yeah.
What is a dip?
So Mike Mentor actually says that the dip is the upper body squat. So you grab onto a set of parallel bars, sometimes like rogue bars and other bars, they have angled bars. You grab onto your bars, start at full depression, and then you go into, in street lifting form, the rear delt goes below that elbow crease. So similar to squats, your hip angle, right?
Has to drop
the hip
below
has
the
to
knees.
has to drop below that knee crease. So that's how you can judge the form from the side. So there are side judges that do that, and I've judged competitions myself as well. And so doing weighted dips, I mean, all of these lifts are fun. People should try them.
How much weight did you have on you with the dip?
296 pounds. So 132.5 kilograms is about 296 pounds, if I recall correctly.
And that's a record as well.
In my weight class.
In your weight class.
Not the all-time record.
What is your weight class?
So my weight class is, in kilograms, the minus 87 kg weight class, which is basically 177 pounds to 191 pounds.
Okay.
So in street lifting or in powerlifting, you always want to be at the top of your weight class, because that means you have the most amount of muscle mass relative to your body weight. You don't want to be at the bottom of your weight class, just drop in the other weight class below you, right?
Yeah. My father was a wrestler and a judo practitioner, and I do judo, so I also...
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
everyone wants to you want to be right at the top of your weight class.
Or bulk and then cut right before your competition. It's hard enough for me to gain weight, and thankfully I'm already at the top of my weight class just on average.
Yeah.
So like my maintenance is the top of my weight class, so it's great.
Okay, so what is the other record that you hold for muscle ups? And a muscle up, I mean, from what I understand, you basically start with a pull up, pull yourself up so quickly that you get the bar down to your stomach.
Yeah.
And then you come back down.
Yes.
And it has to be a controlled drop, I would suppose.
Controlled. There's judges' commands that you have to follow too, which a lot of people get no rep for. But a muscle up
What's a no rep?
A no rep is basically if a judge judges based on certain criteria that you fail to meet or to hit, they'll no rep you. So you have 3 judges in any given competition, and just like in powerlifting, if you do the wrong form cue or you start not at a full dead hang for muscle up, for example, because that's a big thing, or you kip, you're not allowed to kip. So it's a very...
What's a kip?
A kip is when you kick your knees up.
Oh, yeah.
Or you kick your legs really a lot, really.
Trying to get a little momentum.
Trying to get some momentum. Yeah, the only momentum you're allowed is 1 or 2 swings from a dead hang. So it doesn't really help too much, but it's enough to help you clear the bar. It's not a CrossFit muscle. Let me just say that. CrossFit muscle ups, it's a lot of momentum, and they use a stretch reflex cycle, right? But a muscle up, basically, like you said, you start from a dead hang, 1 or 2 swings, and then typically the weight's either in between your feet or on top of your feet, and you explosively launch yourself up, as you say, get over, do that straight bar dip, come down, and then they say box, and you re-enter the box.
Wow. And now I see people, they claim I can do 20 pull-ups. I'm like, no, you cannot. No, you cannot.
It depends on how fast.
Well, it's also that people, they kind of jump up, they start like this, and then they do this pump thing, and it's like...
Yeah.
I mean, you're going all the way, locked arms.
Yeah, you have to start a full dead hang.
All the way, and then all the way back down to locked arms. I mean, that's a real pull-up. That's a real chin-up.
Yeah, well, in street lifting, the way to judge it fairly and equally between male and female genders and the weight classes is your chin has to cross over that parallel line of the top of the bar. So, but you, like you said, you have to start a full dead hang. So once you exit the box, you start a full dead hang, then the judges say start. Then the head judge will say start. So you can't just start whenever, and you have to be at a full dead hang. If your arms are bent, they're not going to call you to start your rep, and you're just wasting energy at that point. And it's already hard enough holding 200 pounds plus just from hanging. Imagine dead hanging, but then 200 pounds.
So when you go up, I mean, is it like, do you hook your own weight? Because you have a belt with the hook.
Yep.
Do you hook your own weight onto your belt and then kind of scoot over there? Or do you get in position and someone else hooks it on for you and they go?
It's a good question. You have loaders in any given competition. They'll prepare the weight on the box for you. So when they call your name, the cuer will say, hey, athlete so-and-so, or the host will say, come to the platform. You go. The weight's already lined up for you. You attach it to the belt, and then that's when you stand up, scoot over to the bar, and then you go into your start position and wait for the judging command. You basically penguin into it, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But the muscle up, I failed to say, is I currently hold the muscle up record. I hate talking about myself. It's
No,
it's
I
so
want to
weird
hear.
'cause,
No,
like,
I'm asking.
you don't want to talk about it, but at the same time, it's
You
a
don't want
record.
to, but I insist. I want to hear. Tell me.
Thank you.
You're being interrogated.
That's okay. Dude, interrogate me as much as you
I
want.
want to know.
Please.
What is it?
So
The
27.
single women who are watching want to know.
That's funny. 27.5 kilograms, or about 65 pounds. But this week, and I'm thankful, this is not a flex, but it can come off like going. I just broke the
It's
national
okay.
record in training.
We have a lot of single women watching. They need to know this.
They don't need to know.
Yeah,
That's
they-
fine.
they-
That's
they
why I
need-
keep my mouth shut about it. No one needs to know this. It needs to be low key. That's
And the scrawny guys watching, they need to be motivated.
inspired. Hey, I'd
Yes.
rather take that any day.
All right, inspire the youth.
So I broke the all-time record right now in training. I did 75 pounds for 2 reps, whereas the current national record for muscle up is 71 pounds for 1 rep.
That's incredible.
So I'm feeling great.
This
Thank
is a,
God.
This
Thank
is a
God.
massive amount of work that you've put into this to be able to do this.
Absolutely.
From the time that you first, say, were able to, crank out a single pull up or chin up to this point, how many years has it been?
It's a great question. 10 years.
10 years.
It's been 10 years, but on and off, right? Like, you school and work and internships and things. I've lost 30 pounds at one point. I was like 150. I was half dead at one, just because sometimes work gets in the way. You just stop training for 6 months. That happens to me. I'll lose weight. So
You plateau.
or you plateau like when you compete. But I didn't get into street lifting until 2024. I found about it in December of 2024. But it's been a modality of training for me for the last 10 years. I've always been doing pull-ups, and then I started adding weight. It wasn't for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years ago, I started adding weighted muscle-ups into my program. And then I realized in December of 2024, wait, what's this sport? What's street lifting? I've never heard of this. And it's like I mentioned, this max strength sport that I've been training my whole life for these last 10 years. Oh, well, let me debut. So I debuted in February of last year.
Yeah.
And they were like, who's this guy from Texas? Because when I did my final weighted pull-up, I pulled the second heaviest pull-up in United States history.
Oh, wow.
At my debut competition. Even I was like, wait, what's going on? This is my sport, right?
Yeah.
This is what I've been training for. I didn't even know about it.
You
right?
found your niche in
I
life.
found my niche in life, yeah.
That, in addition to having 10 kids.
God willing, if I can have 10 kids, they can all be street lifters too.
There you go. You can have your own street lifting team. You can coach them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. May it be blessed.
Okay, so, and you are developing a product, if I recall correctly. It's a belt. So when you do one of these lifts, you have a belt that you have a hook on, or a D-ring.
Yes.
And the weight gets hooked into that.
Yes.
Now, can you tell us about your product? This is a chance, and a link to it will be in the video description.
Sure. Yeah. So
As well as a link to your social media profiles and videos and such.
no worries. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So a dip belt is typically what you hear about, or a weight belt, but it's more likely known as a dip belt in street lifting or calisthenics community. Typically, you see a metal chain associated with something like this. And this is actually a project I've been working on before I even heard about street lifting, because I started to break so many Amazon products and different types of belts. And there were several failure modes. Either the D-link would break, the stitching would fray. There were several failure modes that I was just tired of. I just kept buying belts because I kept breaking belts. Or you start adding 4 or 5 plates to dips, and you start to do pull-ups and they break. I don't want to get hurt, and I'm kind of frustrated at this point. And I work in procurement professionally, and I studied electrical engineering. I was like, you know what? I can design my own belt. I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, I can design, and I can procure it from a supplier and make it myself. And so I had designed 2 prototypes, like 2 versions of a prototype, and I was right about to sell, and then I found out about street lifting. And then that changed the game for me, because when I debuted and I became state chair a month after I debuted, I realized, let me just redesign one last time for street lifting, make it street lifting certified, be the only supplier in the United States that sells a street lifting belt qualified for the sport.
What is it that qualifies a street lifting sport or a street lifting belt from? I mean, what would someone like me understand?
There's several criteria, but as far as technically, there has to be a chain that's 1.5 meters long and typically a daisy chain. So it's, instead of a chain, metal chain itself, that daisy chain is fabric with loops. So you can adjust the distance at which the weight is hanging from your body, which really helps for pull-ups, dips, and muscle-ups.
I would imagine.
And
the lower it is, the more it swings, the more weight.
Yes, and also a 300 kg. So that's 600 and 40, 50, 60 pounds
Yeah,
of
2.2
load
pounds.
bearing, of load bearing capacity. So most belts that you can find in America that were with a chain and these other failure modes, they were breaking way below that, right? So I had to go and design one. And there's several really good ones on the market already, but they're all coming from Europe or out of the country, and then you're having to pay all kinds of extra costs for them. And I want to sell the equipment for the sport itself, and also reinvest back into the athletes and reinvest back into the sport, because out of pocket, I set up these events. So
Wow.
I don't really make money on the events just yet, because we're still so niche. It's just 3 years old here in the United States. That's why I'm trying to get everybody into the sport, because I do believe I have a vision with the president and the other state chairs that this sport is growing. It's growing quite rapidly. And
Wow.
this year we have a Pan-American championship. So North, South America, we're competing in Brazil this year for the championships.
I bet you get a lot of dudes from like Mexico in this.
Oh yeah, there's Central America, Brazil.
Mexican dudes love lifting weights.
There's some insane Mexican street lifting athletes. But God willing, I also qualify this year for the championship in Brazil, so you'll see me there at the end of the year.
Oh, I'm stoked.
But my point is, I want to sell the belt not for profit per se, but not just for money, but to actually reinvest back into athletes. I want to use a lot of that, sponsor the sport, right? My brand Phoenixeer sponsors the sport, and then gives back with cash prizes and things like that, because that's how I'm going to grow the sport. Right? At the end of the day, I have a great professional career. I'm not worried about finances per se.
So like if someone wanted to get into this, before we launch into your story of growing up and personal life, if someone wanted to find out more about this, can they contact you?
Absolutely.
Where would they contact you at?
You can contact me at the Phoenixeer on Instagram. You can email me at nicholas.chedian@phoenixeer.com.
Okay.
You can DM me, like I said. I also post on YouTube, but if you want to contact me directly, either by email or by DM, there will be the easiest.
Okay, all right. So this is obviously something you're intensely passionate about. This is something that I think a lot of guys would really enjoy getting into. I'm noticing that there's a massive resurgence with young men flooding into the Orthodox Church. There's this huge resurgence of not even resurgence, just surge in jiu-jitsu clubs, wrestling clubs, boxing clubs. And I think it's because men need male-only spaces. They want something masculine. And being able to choke someone out is pretty masculine. Being able to choke someone out your own size is pretty masculine. So I would imagine you're going to get a lot of attention. In terms of
that's a
strength
scary
training.
thing sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get a lot of attention. A lot of it's not good, but So let's talk about how you ended up coming into the Orthodox Church. And by the way, growing up Roman Catholic, all Protestants were snake handlers who spoke in tongues and were missing several teeth. And they were all sort of semi-literate, a lot of them illiterate. That's sort of the image that Roman Catholics have traditionally had of Protestants. And then there's Anglicans who are just alcoholics. But they're sort of, British alcoholics. But I have learned much more about Protestantism since becoming an Orthodox Christian, because I'm meeting many people who converted from Protestantism. And, it's really a mystery to some people like myself, or who maybe they came in from a non-religious background. What is it like growing up in a Pentecostal home? A Romanian Pentecostal home specifically.
Yeah. So growing up a Romanian Pentecostal home was fascinating, because a lot of they still held to this idea that we should do home churches. At that time, that was quite large, right? Because they would see scripture or read scripture, and they thought that they should have these prayer services outside inside the home, which in some sense is pious. I think that was really interesting. As a kid, you grow up, you're like, okay, when is this going to be over? But you didn't really grow to appreciate it at all. And that's just their modality of worshiping in one sense. But the Romanian Pentecostal specifically, because that's what I grew up, and that's what I can speak to. Amazing, pious people. But they wear the head coverings, which they don't realize they got from the Orthodox Church originally.
Well, a lot of that stuff is just old country.
An old country.
People women keep their hair covered so it doesn't get dirty.
There's exactly. Romania was family coming from the communist era, and so my family.
When did your parents come over?
My dad's side of the family in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and my mom, after my dad met my mom in Romania, after 2 days, got married, flew back to the States. So I don't go to them for dating advice because they never dated really. They went on 2 dates and then got married.
At the end of the day, though,
But it worked.
when you come from a monoculture, you have the same norms and values.
Exactly. So at that time it worked for them, and 8 kids later, and
Also,
I love it. It was awesome.
Also, traditionally, people have, especially coming from an Eastern Bloc country, people have pretty low standards of material expectation.
Yeah, that's
And it's
absolutely true.
It's
yeah.
not like a, so what kind of car are you going to get me? It's more like a, we're going to have this old one car for everyone. You know, she's going to stay at home and work, maybe have a little bit of a side job. He's going to work in construction. It's just everything's figured out for you.
Yeah, well, let's build together. There was kind of that expectation because you kind of already went through the thick of it with communism. So it's like, how worse can things get, right?
They have the same cultural view of the world.
Yes,
and that's what's broken down in the U.S.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So growing up Pentecostal, I read a lot of scripture, which I love about most Protestants.
In Romanian or English?
Both. Yeah, okay. Romanian and English. So I can still read Romanian quite well. I speak Romanian as well. But
how do you pronounce that T with a little hook under it?
Tse.
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 Tse. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I'm trying to think of a word, but the word I thought of was gypsy, so I'm not going to say that.
Is it Chingana?
No, it's Tsigan.
Tsigan. In Turkish, it's Chingana.
You're very similar, yeah. That's funny. The Pentecostals, though, do not like the Romanian Orthodox Church. And I can see why to an extent, because imagine you're in their shoes 4 generations ago, because that's when my family is one of the first ones that converted to Pentecostalism in like the 40s. I found this in a book in Romania when I visited last year.
Okay.
And they were like, my ancestors' names were in there. I'm like, but where did they get it from? Because it came from a different city in Romania, even right before them, because it was imported from America.
Right.
But imagine you're in their shoes and you're nominally Orthodox or you're piously Orthodox, and at that time, now you're starting to see family or friends converting to a different confession of faith. Imagine, what are you doing? Imagine if your kids converted to something else, right? May that not happen, but you'd be kind of upset. Right? Hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Imagine the kind of family dynamics. A lot of people are going through that right now, becoming Orthodox. I definitely felt that, right? And what's challenging is I grew up with that apprehension, right? Because you have this battle going on for generations, and then also the Pentecostals have a pretty, I would even say, unfair view of the Romanian Orthodox Christians, because the ones they do see happen to be sinners in their eyes, right? So they're judging in some sense, right? Because they, instead of looking at themselves, they were looking at, oh, Nick, you wanted to become Orthodox so you can smoke and drink and sin. I thought, what are you talking about? When I went to Romania right after I became Orthodox, I thought, wait a minute, these are some really amazing people. Not everyone's who are nominally Orthodox are maybe living the most pious life, but it's not up for us to judge these people. Like, let's love one another, right?
My father was a general contractor, and for a while he had some Romanian employees. I remember one of them was named Mircea.
Mircea, yeah.
And Mircea, he had black curly hair, and he told my dad one time, he goes, you know, my father's name was Jeff. He goes, Jeff, the Catholic, they're not Christians. And my dad's like, Mircea, shut up. And just like turned around, kept walking, and he said, get back to work. I mean, they try and bring like religion into everything. They were Pentecostals.
Yeah.
And I chatted with him a bit. I was like junior high, and I've known some like Eastern European Pentecostals. You know, they have like the bun. You know, the bun wielding women with the guys who all work in construction.
It's a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And up north of Seattle, you find a lot of these Slavic Pentecostals. Mm-hmm. And
I knew a lot of them. Still do.
Yeah, and it seems like, I mean, to me, it was every stereotype about Protestantism that I'd ever, encountered. It was just, it was basically cults is what these were. Very odd. I mean, each one of these churches was really its own denomination. That has maybe very, very odd beliefs. Not just a sort of generic heretical beliefs, but like...
Yeah. Well, there's no unity, and not to just, I don't want to make this only a dogging session on my former confession of faith, because I still love them. There's a lot of good in it.
We can turn it into dogging. Don't worry.
Just a little bit.
Or a lot.
Right. they still schism within themselves, right? Like either you come from the Assemblies of God confession or the Church of Christ. Even then, sometimes if they can't agree on a pastor, they schism internally politically, and that happens more than you'd think, and it's only a byproduct of their worldview, right? Without a governing authority in your church outside of your own head, reading scripture and living a certain way because you decide it was that way. That's a consequence.
I'm going to preempt the Roman Catholic fear of being like, this is why you need the See of Peter to decide on clown masses
where are
for
my
you.
keys at? My keys are somewhere, right?
If you don't have a pope to tell you about clown masses,
yeah,
you're screwed.
Yeah, but Peter didn't go to Antioch before Rome, right? The keys. Okay, excuse me. Man, it's wild, and I get it as a Pentecostal. Like I used to dog on the Roman Catholic Church as a Pentecostal and the Orthodox Church. I used to dog on the Orthodox Church for being idol worshippers. Like we looked at icons, like what are you doing?
There's the problem that I find is that there's people who like unity for the sake of unity, and then there's people who go, well, there should be unity on certain things, and other things you can just leave them be.
Both of which are bad positions, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not unity that forsakes truth, then the second position can be good.
It depends on what you think needs to be established.
Yeah. But if we're talking about like little T traditions, yeah, I agree. But that's the kind of thinking that really got me away from Protestantism. It's just everything about faith and practice, you can just be relative. Like who gets to decide what's important? Oh, that's just a secondary matter of faith. What really matters is you follow Christ.
Yeah, but how do you?
Yeah, but what does that even mean? Anybody can say I follow Christ, but then Christ can come back to you and say, "Behold, I never knew you." So, give me a little bit more depth here. Well, as long as you believe in Jesus, you love him, you worship him, and depending on who you talk to, the criteria is different, and that's the problem. The criteria is different depending on who you talk to. So, I was already getting tired of there's no truth, and my personality is based off. I'm very motivated by truth.
Well, it's also there's no official statements from any of these churches.
Well,
it's not like how you can get an official statement on something from the Church of Bulgaria, from the Church of Russia, from the Church of whatever. I mean, there's not really no official statement from the Church of, snake handlers.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you look at the Assemblies of God Confession of Faith, they're very adamant about speaking in tongues, and if you don't meet that criteria, you don't have the Holy Spirit.
I mean, on like the individual Pentecostal, like the Romanian Pentecostal churches, there's no aside from this one little church where the pastor changes and the confession of faith changes.
That's true. There's that spiritual dilemma that they face. Some of them. That's why I asked, okay, who ordained you, per se? Are you with the Assemblies of God Confession or Church of Christ? That's typically where most Romanians are going to fall under.
What is your position on women having buns on the back of their head?
Having buns?
Yeah, they all seem to have buns on the back of their head.
No, not all of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they wear head coverings. They're very adamant about head coverings. In fact, it's like a fashion statement in Romania to wear a head covering and not even cover all of your hair, right? Not that I'm going to just harp on you got to wear head coverings, but the Romanian Pentecostals particularly tried to distinguish themselves by even wearing it kind of like a bandana where it's like half of their hair is covered, even outside the church. I'm like, oh, that's a Romanian Pentecostal, you can tell, And I think it's modest to an extent, but it starts to become a way to delineate who's who, because even so, a lot of Romanians don't cover their hair, and I'm not going to tell someone to cover their hair, but probably should. But in any case, I'm not gonna. It's not something it's not a hill I'm willing to die on, right? And a lot of the Pentecostals, that's just what they do. So you can tell who it is based on where you go for the most part. But then sometimes you get confused because there's a lot of pious Orthodox Christians who also cover their hair. So whatever, right?
I mean, what was it that? I mean, how did your family take you leaving Pentecostalism?
Not good.
Not well at all.
No, and a lot of it's my fault, I have to admit, because, I mean, I was being essentially, by my pastors, I was essentially being raised to become the next youth. I was already a youth leader at my church. And
how old were you at this point?
I was 21 at the time. I was actually engaged at that time.
Okay.
And I'm not engaged anymore because of Orthodoxy and because I was looking into the Orthodox faith. And so I'll talk a little bit about the family and then what happened there real quick. It's the past 7 years ago. It doesn't matter anymore, of course. It's gone. But me exploring Orthodox Christianity, kind of drove a wedge between me and my family, particularly because the Romanian Pentecostal, they're very apprehensive. And I'm also very argumentative. At that time, I was very argumentative. And I didn't know, like I tell people now, when you convert, don't argue with people. Don't argue with your family. Don't argue with your friends. Just try to learn, try to become like Christ, acquire the spirit of peace, like St. Seraphim said, and 1,000 souls will be saved around you. In fact, I didn't really learn that lesson until too late. And I read every book under the sun. I read so many books just because I read the scriptures that said, hey, make sure you have a defense before everybody and about everything.
Yeah.
And I basically bludgeoned my own family with my defense of Orthodox Christianity. But speaking the truth without love hurt our relationship at that time, right? We're much better and beyond that now, thank God. 7 years later, we're healthy relationships with all my siblings and family, but you can't really talk about Orthodox Christianity and Christianity in general. I mean, that is Christianity in general. We can't really talk about Christianity in the house because our views are so different. And I want to. That's my favorite thing to talk about. That's why I'm here with you. That's why it's all my friends, we this is what we talk about.
Yeah, there's also a movement that, if you're not a complete dish rag, you're not speaking with love, is sort of the attitude that many people, and that's a very American Protestant attitude. If you're not a dish rag, you're not charitable, therefore you're not loving.
Tone policing is very common nowadays.
And part of that is just the general feminization of culture. We live in a gynetocracy.
That's one way to put it,
Yeah, I mean, no, we really do.
Yeah.
Gyne in Greek is female. That's where it comes from. And so, I'm regularly told that my tone is very harsh, and the reason is I'm a relic of something of the past. But it looks like I'm a harbinger of things to come as well.
Yeah, thank God. Right? You see how much it's growing nowadays. I was one of very few that were converting at least 7 years ago in my parish. Now we're close to 200 catechumens in our parish alone. Thank God. And that's happening everywhere. It's not just my parish. I know your parish is growing. I know so many more that are hitting close to 200 even.
I'm one of the only people, I'm actually the only person I can think of right now who's not at all surprised by this. I converted in 2000. Let's see, I started attending in 2001, converted in 2003. And, you could just see it. Like it was, as society begins to decay, as it becomes more and more relative, as sensitivity takes over in place of truth, of course people are going to flee to something that is stable. And you walk into an Orthodox church, and it looks ancient. It sounds ancient. It smells ancient. It feels ancient. And ancient is stable.
Yes.
And there's really only so far you can get by, people go, well, they want stability. Well, is there really that much stability in a guitar mass? What seems ancient about this? It's like a Lutheran church. So, yeah, people, young men specifically, are going to continue converting. It's only going to accelerate.
Oh, yeah. As
society just continually goes down the toilet. It's the fall of the Roman Empire right now.
I agree.
We're $38 trillion in debt.
There's so many issues.
Yeah,
It's
going to come crumbling down. And it's not going to go out with a bang. It's going to go out with a whimper.
Yeah.
It's going to slowly decline.
But I agree. It makes sense as you see the society the way that it is. People are coming to the truth. Like the Holy Spirit's doing the Holy Spirit's thing, right? Where people are being led one way or another, and podcasts are one way. Alex Soren, Dyer, so many people cleave to antiquity. He converted. He's a catechumen now. He's huge.
I was talking to a few days ago.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Same as Soren. I was talking to him
Soren.
yesterday.
Yeah, I actually just commented on he was doing a live stream today. And I brought you. I was like, when's the last time you talked to Ubi Petrus? And he had only good things to say about
he's a sweetheart. Yeah.
You guys it's you guys that are really raising the bar of Orthodox Christian content online.
Oh, you're too kind.
But I'm serious. It matters to be benefactors of these kind of people as well. And I hope that's also a direction I take my life into. Because that's, on YouTube, you want to try to donate and give memberships. I try to do that the best I can because the faster these guys grow, the faster y'all grow, the faster the church grows. And to an extent, that matters. And I think, not like we support our parishes, we should support the people exposing the faith to the masses, because even an emoji, the cross emoji.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Someone converted to the faith at my parish just because he saw that emoji and looked into it. Like, why is there that cross with the little bottom bar there? And he looked it up, and now him and his fiancée are catechumens at our parish.
Oh, started a journey.
Yeah. So you never know what could start, and people like just say, oh, I just saw a random YouTube video. I saw this video, and now I'm inquiring to Orthodoxy. So you never know what you're doing can have an impact on people, and I love what this is happening and why this is even happening.
Apparently, in Turkey, one of the main things that's getting people to convert is doing DNA tests.
Are you serious?
And this is what I've heard repeatedly, and I see comments consistently from people. I am Turk from Anatolia. I did DNA test. I am 75% Greek and 25% Armenian. Should I become Christian Greek?
Duh. Yes.
Well, you'd say avat in Turkish.
Avat, yes.
Hayır is no, avat is yes. But that reminds me, speaking of content creation, on March 6th, we have a new cohort of Greek and Latin classes beginning. I'm teaching classical Latin and ancient Greek so that you guys can read the Church Fathers in Greek and Latin. It'll be Friday nights, 4 p.m. GMT minus 8 for Latin, 5 p.m. GMT minus 8 for Greek. It's for people who are total beginners. The material's in the public domain, so it's on PDFs. All you have to do is join my Patreon or YouTube channel memberships. The link is in the video description. So anyway, continue.
That's awesome, first of all. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the first cohort's making really great speed.
That's awesome.
Another month or two, we'll start reading from the Gospels in Greek and Latin.
You know, I pray that guys like Alex, and I think Jay's there, and Cleve to Antiquity, and yourself, and Transfigure Life, and Father Turbo Choir. I mean, many of the priests are doing an amazing job, too, online. I pray that they grow in such a way that becomes their full-time thing. And hopefully, and to an extent, that it's blessed and meaningful, right? But it's not only that, but then we also have, I think we'll get there here in the next couple of years where I hope we start sponsoring people to go to seminary and become priests. And because we're hitting that point where we need more priests.
Well, the parishes are the issue I think that we're having is we have all these young guys converting in. And this is one thing I want to mention to you about because you're right in that cohort. I'm already married. I already have kids.
Yeah.
Okay. When I converted in, it was a family with 5 boys and myself. And then the following year, it was 2 single women and I think a guy. And they were, in their early 20s. They got, maybe it was 3 single women. I can't remember. But it was 2. And then next year was a single lady. Okay, now it's almost all guys. It's almost all single guys outside of families. And
there's a lot of single women converting too, I've seen.
I'm not finding them. I mean, there's very few.
Okay.
The issue that these guys have is they go, well, what am I going to do for finding a wife? What do you think? I mean, because when I interviewed Mason, he said, what's going to happen is these guys convert in and the church will mature them effectively.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
And I'm finding that as you see these guys stay in the church longer and longer, they become more mature. And you see them, it accelerates massively because they're forced to control themselves via fasting and the morality.
Yes.
They have to confess to someone who's telling them, giving them the brutal truth. Mm-hmm. Okay. They have a community around them of other men because a lot of guys I find they have no community.
Yes.
I mean, the number of men I meet who they have no one. They walk into a church or, maybe I do a job for them, whatever. No community at all. And so I really go out of my way to introduce people to one another when they come, to get to know them, to give them a copy of this amazing book.
Should read that book.
Phenomenal.
Thank
Theosis,
you.
the true purpose of human life. Phenomenal outline of Orthodox theology. What do you think about that in terms of like young men coming in? And I mean, it's clear why they're looking for stability. How do you think we assist, or does it even need to be assisted, the situation of guys, the male to female ratio, and how they're going to be married? Because I saw something on Twitter recently, it's by a Catholic guy, and he said the church needs to get ready for the fact that we're going to have a tremendous amount of single men. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of men who are just never ever going to get married.
Yeah, that could be the reality for a lot of these men.
And I think a lot of these.
I'm being a single guy myself. That's the current reality for me. I get it.
I mean, I think we're going to end up with a bunch of. I don't think these guys are. I think a lot of people, their solution is, well, they can just become monks. Well, not everyone's called to that life, and monks should not be plan B.
Yeah, exactly. Monasticism is never a plan B. And,
Yeah, I've met people who try to make monasticism a plan B. It does not work out.
No, not at all. I absolutely agree. A lot of people are seeking this stability, and I mean, speaking from personal experience, right? You're called to mature in the church. You're called to become like Christ, and Orthodoxy gives you the tools and basically the hospitalization to become who you're truly supposed to be. But practically, right, you're also, grow in your career as best you can, although the economy sucks, and I get it for most people. I totally get it, because like I probably barely scraped it out myself graduating many years ago. Here, how many years ago? 6, 7 years ago. And it's a challenge now with the way the economy is, and the way there's, like you said, there's the male to female ratio, and churches are hard. But I even being single myself, I think about the service. I think about Christ. I think about, even in terms of street lifting, and in terms of fasting, I could talk to that later, is, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you. As cliche as it sounds, and as that it is, that's the priority. Become like Christ, but then practically get fit, get strong.
Yeah.
Get strong physically, but also Father Zachariah Lynch just posted something yesterday. He said, the anti-humans want us to be weak in body and in spirit.
Yeah,
do the opposite.
They want you
just
on
do the opposite.
THC. They want you on THC highs. They want you looking at adult content.
They want you eating
They want
slop.
you playing video games. They want you numbing yourself.
Yes, physically, spiritually, mentally.
Absolutely.
Right now we're using AI, although some things can be beneficial as far as productivity is concerned, right? But it's even thinking for other people, right? So now you're losing the mental side of things, and so Orthodoxy gives us that way to grow. But practically, I mean, parishes, depending on the parish, of course, they creating third spaces, right? So during Lent, we have Lenten dinners where people connect, and we have book club at our parish where the young adults can connect for book club.
Oh, we have at my parish, St. John the Baptist, here in Las Vegas. Wonderful clergy and community. I mean, we're watching the film on St. Paisios.
Oh, beautiful! And see, that's giving people the opportunity to grow and to connect and come together. We have a lot of ministries. God willing, I can start kind of a fitness ministry at my parish. I'm working on that. It might take a year or two to get there, but it's something that was asked, right? And
that's wonderful.
It's interesting. We're building brotherhoods, and then there's also the women's ministries too. So like women also need community as well, just as men, right?
Oh, they do, yeah.
They probably more so than men, because men can kind of survive on their own to an extent, although they need man to man community. Women more so than ever need relationships. I would say, right? Because they're very community oriented,
and women desperately need. I mean, I think a significant portion of males can sort of figure it out and make it happen, and just through the hardships of life. It's like that saying in anthropology: girls become women, but boys are made into men.
Yes.
And what is it that makes boys into men? It's hardship.
Yeah.
Right. Girls, simply through going through puberty, they become women. It's just how it is. That's why almost all initiation rites are. They focus on males, right?
Yeah.
Taking him away from the mother, putting him through pain, hardship, and then he's released back in with the status as a man. I think that for women specifically, they desperately need strong communities in a way that, I wouldn't say more than men or less than men, but in a way different than men.
Because that's a good way to put it.
Females are very, they're very susceptible to, the whispering of older women who are like, well, yeah, you should just, be run through like a car wash. It's what I did. You get these older women who now they're noticing as like Andrew Wilson brings us up constantly.
Yes, yeah.
And that is these older women, they realize that they've been devalued in society next to this 21-year-old. So what do? They try and spike the punch for these girls and pull the ladder up
women
behind
keeping
them.
other women single. It's sabotage.
And I think that for males, it's a lot easier in many ways, because older men will typically informally apprentice younger men in life. It's sort of a natural relationship for men. I think that women have a much...
That has to be
I think it's a
more
harder time for
intentional.
women.
Yeah, I agree. You're absolutely right. And what I love about the Orthodox Church is you have this ability to have a godparent, to hopefully, if you have great godparents, which is a meaningful office, by the way, people need to take this office very seriously, is guide.
I need to be a better one.
Me too. I have several godchildren. I need to be better myself, right? But I have some amazing godchildren.
Do any of them street lift?
One of them does.
Okay,
Yeah. He's
good.
in jiu-jitsu though. He's like a jiu-jitsu expert. His name is Diego. He just got baptized last year. He's an animal. He brought his mother to church, and then she converted as well.
Oh, wonderful.
And this was when he was 16.
Oh, wonderful.
Right. So even young people, like the young people, are bringing the parents. I know somebody at my parish. He's 14, 15. He's not allowed to come to church unless he makes good grades, because his parents aren't Orthodox, but his parents will take him to the church because they basically have that clause together within the family. I'm like, that is so cool that your parents are even supportive in this way, right? I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, we have in the Orthodox Church ways to grow, and hopefully we can be better. I think maybe it's not like that everywhere. I'm blessed with a great parish, Holy Trinity in Dallas, Texas. Maybe not every parish is like that. Maybe parishes can work, and it's just a function of we're also going through growth pains. People are now trying to step into to develop, and I do pray it gets better for a lot of people, because you're right. We're going to run into challenges. A lot of young single people, male especially, some female, and having to navigate that and create these third shared spaces. And I mean, just like in everything in life, the Orthodox Church has the answer in some sense or fashion, I think.
Or it solves a larger issue and then the smaller periphery ones. I think a lot of the things that guys consider major issues, younger men, they're actually periphery issues.
Yes.
And a huge one that I found is with these younger guys is that they and I feel for them because I've been there before, in terms of being that age in a different time with different circumstances. What I find to be the issue is, if anything that these young guys could do that would really help them out, it's learn how to have a conversation.
Yes.
When I meet these, I mean, they're all in, how do you talk to girls? How do you talk to, how do you get a woman's attention? It's like, how about you just learn how to have a conversation?
Just talk. Yeah.
I mean, I try and talk to some of them, and I'm like, so what do you like to do? I work, and
talking to some young men.
There's some video games I like. And I'm like, okay. And then I stop and I just go, I backfeed, so to say, okay, and they go.
Yeah. No
and
threading whatsoever.
Like, okay, pick up, I mean, it's like playing, it's like talking to some of them.
Yeah.
Is like playing pass with someone who has no arms.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's conversational skills. It's a skill, right? Conversation is a skill. Communication is a skill. Whether you're married or single or not, right? You have to.
Well, it makes you likable. It makes you someone whom people can relate to.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that so many of these guys, they've just been crapped on and crapped on and crapped on. And they've had these overly aggressive, domineering, angry, resentful female teachers, and they've just learned, okay, it's better just to stay quiet.
Oh yeah, don't even interact with women at all sometimes, depending on how they've been treated in the past.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then they're watching all this adult content, shall we call it, and it just rewires their brain to then look at women as like tools.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think this is what's important for younger guys to get, is that if you don't have to be 6 feet tall. There was a study I saw recently. It was that women, 86% of the time, they chose a guy who was like 5'7", 5'8", but in good shape, over a dude who was over 6'8", but in mediocre shape.
Yeah.
Women say they want a guy who's 6 feet tall in the same way that I say I like classical music.
Yeah.
I go, yeah,
wait,
I could listen to it. Like,
you mean I can't I'm not allowed to have someone who's 6 foot, 6 figures, 6 pack, right? The 666.
I think on a realistic level, when I see the guys who are actually getting married, who are snagging really beautiful women, almost none of them are over 6 feet. Most of them make, $50,000, $60,000.
What are you saying? Because I'm over 6 feet. There's no shot, right?
No, it's just these guys. All of them, the thing they have in common is they can have conversations.
Yes,
that's what all of them. They're relatable. They're interested in the person they're talking to.
Balance, right? Don't overemphasize just the looks. Looks matter. I'm not saying looks max as they have in the current vernacular. Looks maxing is a thing, right, where you try to maximize as much as possible how you look physically, and
I do coffee maxing.
Caffeine maxing. Yep, exactly.
Well, just coffee, straight coffee.
For me, it's pull-up maxing, literally.
Okay, all right. Bicep maxing.
Yeah, right.
There was a term I heard recently. It was secretary maxing. Where you micromanage people to get them to do things. Secretary
that
maxing.
Horrible.
Yeah. guilty as
But
charged.
it is a skill and something you have to be balanced in all things. You can't just be, you could be naturally beautiful, even as a woman, and if you can't
Oh, I thought you were
communicate,
talking about me. Sorry.
well, besides you, right? You could be naturally stunning or beautiful, right? But if that's all you've got, a pretty face can waste your time, male or female.
Oh, yeah.
Male or female, right? It does not matter.
Yeah.
What matters is where is this person's heart? Where is their head? Yeah, you should be attracted to people. I agree. That matters first to an extent. You want to be physically attracted. How Solomon writes about in the scriptures, etc. But if you can't conversate, if you can't thread a conversation, learn conversation threading.
Absolutely.
It's like playing chess. You should be able to know, hey, when you bring up something to me, how can I, what options do I have? I think like an engineer, very analytically. So I think of threading as when you say something to me, well, what direction can I take this conversation into? Right? Based on what you just said in the context you just said, most of it is just asking good questions. And just asking a good question can.
It's like a game of basketball. I pass the ball to you, and you go, okay, where can I take the ball from here to get to the hoop?
Yeah.
And the hoop is connecting with the other person.
Yeah. Well, I even have an acronym. Like if I'm at a networking event for work, which I meet suppliers all the time because I work in procurement, I do dinners and I go to conferences and things like that.
So you have to be very social.
I have to be. I learned. I wasn't always like this. I was like the skinny introvert. I think I was introverted until I realized I'm actually an extroverted person. Once I learned the skill of communicating with people better. But family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Ford, right? Those are the four things. Like, and then you can. What was it like growing up? Oh, I didn't know you lived there. Why'd you move from there to there? Right? Oh, wait, your work took you from this place to this. You start to thread conversations, and those are four easy ways. And that's tens to hundreds of hours of conversations already with just one person. Imagine what you can do talking about many other things with people, or even the Orthodox Church. That's my favorite thing to talk about, right?
There you go. Well, that gets to a point. There was I remember about 25 years ago, I heard about a study that was done where the MRIs were run on males and females, and they found that when males see pictures of like attractive women in the buff, a certain part of their brain lights up. Okay, that same part of the brain lights up in females when they're having a conversation.
Like a really good conversation, too.
A really good conversation where they feel like they're connecting.
Yeah,
that part of their
not
brain
just surface
lights
level
up.
stuff, too.
Yeah, where they feel like they're connecting with someone.
Yeah.
That part of their brain lights up.
Yeah, I think
And this is why these guys are having, one of the reasons they're having these massive problems, because I'm meeting guys constantly who are financially not getting by, and they're engaged, or they just got married.
Mm-hmm.
And these women are madly in love with them. And the same thing, every single time these guys can have conversations.
Yeah, they can talk about their life. They can talk about a life together with somebody. And
Well, they can get her to talk.
and
They're not like super awkward.
yeah, well, get someone to talk by asking meaningful questions, right? I don't say this. and
Wait,
it
you have
really-
a mustache? How did you get that mustache?
Yeah, right. And
Were
all
you
the
born
surface
with
level
this
stuff.
mustache?
Only talk about what's your favorite color. No, don't go beneath the surface because then that's no fun, right? No, I ask the good things. Ask good quality questions, especially like if I meet someone new and it's like, hey, what do you do for work? I'm like, what do I do for work? Well, let's talk about like why am I even at this church, right? Or I mean, obviously that occupation is like bare bones, good conversation to make, but you start to, as you connect with people over time, right?
You build it out. You spiderweb it out.
You spiderweb and you get deeper and you start to learn about someone's worldview and why they think the way they think, and that's how you really connect with people. And so I see what you mean. Why women would think that way. I mean, a lot of men want that too. A lot of men want a good conversation, right? But
I'm right here.
Well, that's why I'm here. We're having a great conversation.
This is. I'm loving it too.
I could do this all day.
Well, let's do it all day.
I did this in Bulgaria. We had several. It was crazy.
I watched those videos. They were great videos, and it was you fit right in with the facial hair.
Yeah. I felt like I was Bulgarian for a little bit there, but I had to flex the Romanian side as well.
Okay, that's all right. Latin pride.
Yeah.
And when I say Latin, I mean language.
Yes.
Speaking of which, I mean, anyone who's watching, if you want to come out to Las Vegas, email me. Email's in the video description. Email me with your story. You want to tell your story, or you have a book you want to promote, you have a film you want to promote, whatever. Let me know and come out and we can do the show. And by the way, speaking of books to promote, I recently got this book. It's excellent. The Divine Services of the Orthodox Church with commentary. Phenomenal book. You can see these beautiful illustrations here. It goes through, you can use it like a missal, like a service book.
Yeah.
As explanations in it along with pictures, pretty detailed explanations as well. Really great. It's like a catechism via liturgy.
I was just looking for something like this. I was
amazing.
asking one of my subdeacons at my parish, like, hey, do you have a book? And I was literally describing this exact thing.
Yeah.
I wanted something on liturgics.
Father Patrick O'Grady, whom I met many years ago, brilliant guy, taught Latin and Greek and liturgical theology. He's one of the main, I think he's the main contributor.
Is it already released?
Yeah, it's right here. This
Okay,
you can purchase
so I
on
can purchase
Amazon.
online? Oh, you already
Just
know
look
what
up
I'm
the
doing.
Divine Services of the Orthodox Church with commentary.
I know what I'm doing after this, yeah.
Yeah.
I was literally looking for a book like this very recently because liturgics has been a fascinating
Saint
subject.
Simeon of Thessalonica Press. They did a print to order.
Okay.
It's color pictures. There is a black and white version, but you really want the color version. It's
Yeah.
a few bucks more.
Yeah.
Beautiful images. Even me, as I read through it, I learn things. You know, I mean, you have this like great part here where it talks about the cutting of the prosphora in preparation, which is a proskimidi service, where the priest, here it is. He cuts up the, look at that.
Oh, and you have the image of the proximity. Yeah, the holy bread.
It breaks it down exactly what each thing is for, and this is in the context of the liturgy, the deacon, the priest speaking, and then it gives the explanation. So you can sit there or stand there, actually, stand during the liturgy and follow along with the service, see this, understand, it gives you explanation. There's more in-depth explanations later. Really phenomenal book. I recommend everyone get it. The link to it is in the video description.
I'm excited to read it myself.
Oh,
truly.
I'm pumped.
Well,
Is that the word you use, pumped?
I use pumped all
Okay,
the time.
pumped. We'll say
Maybe I'm too old to start using. I'm 28, so the young ones are starting to call me unk, and they're even calling me chopped, which I don't believe I'm
Chopped?
chopped. Yeah,
What's chopped mean?
Chopped is like slang for old and ugly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, whereas unk is slang for you're old but you're not ugly. Or cooked. They also say that you're cooked, whereas you're. I can't even tell. My 7 younger siblings will teach me these things, and
Okay.
my godson and they're his friends, and
Okay.
they just call me things. I'm like, what's the language? The nomenclature is changing every week, right? So.
Yeah, it's a social media stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just everything travels so quickly.
But I do. Yeah, I'm pumped. Yeah.
Okay,
Pumped
alright,
for that
excellent.
book. Pumped for what's beautiful is there's meaning in everything.
There is. It goes through the
That's why I'm
symbolism.
Orthodox. Is everything literally, and I don't use this seldomly. The word literal. It's everything literally has meaning.
It
And
does.
it's beautiful, and it is an ocean of understanding that you can barely just tap your toes into once you become Orthodox and
Well,
realize
there's
that,
layers of meaning.
yeah, there's layers of meaning. There's just you can't learn it all, but you know where it is, the truth, right? And so to bring it back to Pentecostalism, I had a priest when I first converted say, Nick, Pentecostalism gave you the fire for Christ, but Orthodoxy gave you the fireplace. So I may
wonderful.
not know all the truth, but I know where to find it. It's in the church.
Well, it's like when I'm doing this catechism series on my other channel, and you can read all these commentaries and you go, okay, I think I got all the major points, and spoiler alert, you don't. When you try to go through a story, you think, well, I got like the 5 major points.
Yeah.
Well, there's not just 5. I mean, the level of return, was it return reference, where the Bible refers back to itself? Pretty insane.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, I'm only in Genesis, and beginning of Exodus, and it's overwhelming. Even going through, in a good way, overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I support one of my priests at Holy Trinity as one of the catechists, where I lead basically a small group discussion before the priest and our catechist team.
Oh,
basically
wonderful.
have the lesson for the day, and I still learn so much in I mean, I didn't.
How could you not?
I didn't realize until last year, after 7 years later, that the sacrifice of the Old Testament was eaten in its entirety. Right, which was a direct link to the Eucharist. I blew my mind. I thought,
Yeah, and these things.
What?
I mean, part of it is developing the actual the mindset
Yes.
for it, the paradigm, and then
Yeah.
from there, as you develop the paradigm more and more, you get more and more. But I mean, look, it's if you want a really great series of these are really good here, of commentaries on the Bible that tie back to the Old Testament. Saint Peter Chrysologos. He wrote these 3 here, and they're very short sermons. Maybe if you read them, they're maybe 5 minutes. And it's really just beautiful. I don't know why more people don't read these, but he goes through all the Old Testament typology. And
I'll check that out. Thanks for that. Yeah.
No problem. If you want a commentary on Genesis and a little bit on Exodus is very good. Saint Ephraim the Syrian.
Okay, yep, I think I have that one.
That's a very good one.
The issue with me is probably a form of gluttony that me and a lot of my friends have is my book queue and book list that I have gets longer and longer, and the ones that I read barely make a dent, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't know anyone like that. Putting them away. Oh, not enough space here.
But thanks for that. Yeah,
no problem. Those are all good ones that I would recommend, and also for anyone listening, if you want to get into reading patristics, St. Vladimir Seminary Press has these phenomenal, they take like these really, simple works on the mystical life by, St. Simeon the New Theologian, or you can get ones here, like, for example, St. Isaac of Nineveh on ascetical life. Look at how thin that is. Really easy to read. St. John Chrysostom, 6 books on the priesthood. Boom. St. John Chrysostom on marriage and family life. Great. St. Germanus of Constantinople on the Divine Liturgy. This one's even thinner because half of it's in Greek, half in English. On the Unity of Christ by St. So these are great books that will just get you to read. Really, they're really accessible, and they will get people reading patristic works. Because I think what happens is so many people go, where do I begin? And they go, I'll get the shaft set.
Yeah.
And okay, you're reading through St. Athanasius, and you're like,
what? Wait, you mean you didn't read the Philokalia like all the way through before you became Orthodox?
Yeah, no. I mean, they like
what?
You read like St. Athanasius, and there's a lot of letters that they're just these are not applicable to you in this situation. They're really for specialists. So how do you get? Where do you start? Well, start with very simple works, and St. Vladimir Seminary has broken that down, and that's always what I recommend to people. I always try and plug good literature for people for audience.
No, I like that. That's amazing.
So, I mean, how have you? I mean, your family now, they've sort of accepted that you're this, like maybe going to hell because you don't speak in tongues, and, you're not marrying a woman with a bun and a half head covering. I mean, you just avoid talking about it with them in general.
About Orthodox, about Christianity in general, and because, I mean, what are we going to talk about, for example? We're going to talk about intercession of the saints, right? Praying for one another. Like, something like that always typically tends to come in. And sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes, and that's a pride thing. And I acknowledge that. Like, I don't always have to be in a teaching mode. Who am I? I'm not even a priest. I'm not a teacher. Frankly, I should become Orthodox, right? Like I said earlier, I need to acquire the spirit of peace. If I keep my mouth shut, that's what's helped me these last 6 years. After becoming Orthodox, is talking less and actually being better, being more, being like Christ.
Well, and being in a position of a teacher is a really dangerous one. I mean, we just watched as a Catholic apologist got caught for collecting a harem of women with whom he was hooking up with. And now he's been forbidden from teaching, and he's still going and doing it.
It's
an
office you have to take seriously.
Yeah, you have to really be watched. I mean, I have a spiritual father who really keeps a tight eye on me. And he goes, okay, like, what are you producing? He wants me producing more catechism material because that's what we really need.
Yeah, that's really good.
And he really likes this idea of just, creating content that people can listen to and be introduced to it. Now, I want to get on to, because this is very important in my view, is your time in Bulgaria. You were on Bulgarian national television.
The radio, weird trip. Yeah.
How did this come about? What is the story?
So last year, I went to a wedding in Romania. My cousin got married. I went to there was a Pentecostal church. I went there, didn't worship there, but I stood there. And a couple days later, I went to a monastery. And because my family's...
You were present for the snake handling.
They don't handle snakes.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
The Romanian Pentecostals, they will fire you up if you try to do stuff like that. They're probably some of the most traditional people I've ever met, frankly. But I was there for a wedding for my cousin, beautiful. And I went to a monastery. When I go to Romania, and because none of my family is Orthodox, I kind of do these things by myself. And I don't really have a plug, if you will. I don't have like close people so far that I can connect with in Romania that are Orthodox yet. Working on that. But I went to Voronezh Monastery, not too far from Suceava, where my family's from.
Where's Suceava?
Suceava is northern Romania. It's Bukovina province of Romania. So northern Romania, it's basically like an hour or two south of the southern border of Ukraine.
Okay, so I mean, we're talking like northwest,
Northeast.
northeast. Okay.
Northeast of Suceava. That's where my family's from. That's where my mom and my dad are from.
Okay.
They're known as pretty tough people and like pretty. They call them like statornik or horterut, which is tough. They know what they want, kind of thing.
Kind of mountain people.
Mount,
Is that a mountainous region?
not too much, no. There's some hills, but it's probably the region with the most amount of monasteries geographically.
Okay.
Because of Saint Stephen the Great, Stefan cel Mare, right?
Okay.
And so I visited one of the monasteries called Voronets, because I've never been there, and I happened to meet and stumble across a Bulgarian pilgrimage, a group of pilgrims. They were there visiting this monastery, and I happened to hear one of the women that were in this group speaking English. I thought, oh, she speaks English. I speak English. Let me go talk to them, right? Because I'm cordial, I'm friendly. I talk to wherever I go. And I found out that she works for the Bulgarian Synod. This woman named Desislava, her name's Desi, and she said, Nick, if you're ever in Bulgaria, please let me know. That'd be I'd love to host you. I thought, okay, this is great. I have my plug in Bulgaria. Didn't think about it for a couple months, came back, and it's October or November. I was actually in Las Vegas for the Olympia. I was doing a grip strength like championship.
I think that's when we met.
That's when we met.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
church,
exactly.
Not at the grip strength.
No, at church.
Yeah, I want full disclosure here. I do not do street lifting, although I did do 3 pull-ups before you, and you were.
I was quite impressed.
Yeah,
He's doing bodyweight pull-ups, guys. Let me tell you, you'll be a street lifter in no time. No, we'll get you on weighted pull-ups.
At 42 years old, I could do 3 chin-ups.
You're gonna carry your kids on your back and just crank out pull-ups with them. I'm excited for that.
Well, I should be clear. They were chin-ups actually, but the wimpy version of pull-ups. But it was not. We did not meet at the event. We met at church.
We met at church, yeah. And thanks for being friendly at church. I sat at your table. I remember that was the table I sat at, and so I was in Las Vegas. One of my best friends, Sam, calls me. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to Bulgaria?" And I'm just like, "Yes, I have a plug. I know who. I know."
Pumped.
I was pumped. I was already doing a competition already. Let's do it. So before we could even text one another about it, he found tickets at the $600 in January.
That's it? $600 round trip to Bulgaria?
Right. So I bought that ticket, right? I told him, it didn't even make it into the group chat, if you will, as they say. Our trip, we planned it over the phone, and we both bought our tickets right then and there. I was going to take vacation, whatever. Made it happen. Well, then I reached out to Desislava in Bulgaria, and she basically, what we thought was going to be a simple pilgrimage to Bulgaria, where we'll visit a couple monasteries, a couple churches in Sofia, that's where we stayed, turned into an unbelievable itinerary. I mean, it's God's providence, right? Because I providentially met her at this monastery in Romania, of all places, and then I let her know, hey, we're coming to Bulgaria this time frame. Okay, well, here's what happened. She started to basically add stuff onto our itinerary, like, would you like to be on the Orthodox radio? They call it Radio Zorona, which is a beautiful Orthodox Christian radio. It's like the Orthodox Christian radio station of Bulgaria. So we did a podcast similar to this, me and Sam, talking about Orthodox Christianity in America, and basically not as teachers, right, but as a simple testimony and humble testimony of our conversion to the faith and what's going on in America. Why are so many Christians or non-Christians or what have you, why are people becoming Orthodox Christian at this pace? So
because now probably half of the people coming into our parish have effectively no religious
background. Yes. Yeah. So they were very fascinated by that. But so we arrived to Bulgaria, and prior to that, she just basically kept adding, hey, you're going to give 2 lectures. And by the way, you're meeting the Patriarch. We met Patriarch Daniel, and that unbelievable blessing. I haven't even met our Patriarch, in my parish. In our jurisdiction, and I got to go and sit and receive the blessing from the Patriarch and sit and speak with him.
What's he like?
Humble. He is.
I get that feeling like they're just kind of Bulgarians are kind of people who they're not going to get wrapped up in the extraneous details. They're just very like, hey, we're all going to die, and I mean.
You know what was fascinating about that Patriarch? So I brought a couple books as gifts. One of them was Orthodox and the Religion of the Future by Father Seraphim Rose. And I didn't know this at the time, but the Patriarch told me that, Nick, Sam, Desi, Father Seraphim Rose is very much revered in Bulgaria. I'm like, why is that? Well, because of communism and things like that, that book in particular is actually one of the first books translated in Bulgarian.
Correct.
For them. in that language, and they loved it. And
Into Russian, you
into
can
Russian,
a bunch of languages,
a
if I
bunch of
recall
language,
correctly.
exactly. And that was one of the that's one of the gifts we brought for the patriarchs. We had some, and Des is like, how about you give him one of these books that you gave me, right? And he told us that story, and we were very fascinated, and it was great because to even have an audience with a patriarch is a blessing.
That's
and
major.
It was providential, and it was right before we received his blessing, right before we gave our second lecture, essentially on the same topic as our conversion to Orthodoxy and what's happening in America. Just our testimonies, right? What we see, what's going on. The Bulgarians are so interested on how many people are becoming Orthodox. The young people, the older people, they're loving that young people from all kinds of confessions of faith or non-confessions of faith, if you will, are becoming Orthodox. And not only that, but so we are on 2 podcasts, 2 lectures, mind blown still. So that some of that is still being edited and worked on right now as we speak. We even got to stay the night at Bachkovo Monastery.
What is Bachkovo Monastery? What is the story? And where is it roughly within Bulgaria?
So there's Sofia, the capital, 2 hours away from 2 hours away from Sofia, the capital. I think it's, forgive me, Bulgarians, southeast. 2 hours away or 2.5 hours away is Plovdiv. And then about 30 minutes from Plovdiv is this monastery called Bachkovo Monastery, where we got to stay the night, Sam and I, and celebrate the feast day of, I'm trying to remember the name, Saint Patriarch Euphemius of Tarnovo.
Okay.
And to worship with the monks in a parish of Saint Nicholas. So there's several chapels. They call them paraklis, several chapels on this monastery grounds. We got to worship for this feast day in the chapel of Saint Nicholas, which had
Wonderful.
Beautiful iconography of my patron saint, Saint Nicholas. Yeah. So I was blessed to do an akathist in the prayer service before the Orthodox Divine Liturgy.
Oh, lovely.
And I really appreciated that. To have that opportunity. We visited St. John of Rila, one of the icon, one of which I gave to you. That's
yes, thank you, very lovely.
Yeah, St. John of Rila, pray for us. It's beautiful monastery out there.
There's a documentary by Trisagian Films that I'll link in the video description on St. John of Rila. Wonderful story.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we happened to go the coldest day of our trip. Sam and I were absolutely cold, but it was the iconography around the inside the sanctuary and outside the walls, like the frescoes on the walls.
It's incredible.
It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
You just unbelievable spiritual feeling when you're there. And the entire trip, we got to meet with the Orthodox youth of Bulgaria. They even gifted us some hoodies. Like they're growing this community in Bulgaria of young people, and even the content, just like we're doing in America, they're starting to do that themselves. And so we got to connect with them. I had the pleasure of being with this guy, Plamen. His name is Plamen, and he's the one who runs the Orthodox radio. We do several side quests, if you will. He took us to some natural sulfur springs.
Oh, wow.
Just unbelievable experience. The hospitality that we experienced there, that's a vacation. Let me tell you, going on a cruise. I've never been on a cruise, and nor do I care to go on a cruise, to be frank, because that seems boring. I'm very active.
Especially not a carnival cruise.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
No, let's go on a pilgrimage, guys. Let's go to Bulgaria. So Sam and
let's go to Bulgaria.
Providentially somehow got this entire itinerary made for us. It wasn't even our idea.
How long were you there?
We were there for almost 2 weeks.
Wow.
And we got it blessed by our parish priest. Made sure, like, hey, you're not teachers. You're going to speak. This is the testimonies, things like that. Our itinerary is basically shared with our priest, and the Patriarch of Bulgaria approved all of this. Like I said, it wasn't our idea, but we were blessed to even experience it.
That's phenomenal. I mean, what was it? How long did you stay at St. John of Rila Monastery?
We were there for a full day, basically.
And is it like is it like a quiet place, or is it very touristy, or is it like, are women allowed, or are they not allowed?
Yeah, women are allowed. It is a monastery, so you do have to cover up, of course.
It's a men's monastery specifically.
Yes, it is a men's monastery. And it's really nice because if it's summertime, or if it's time where you can walk and hike a little bit, you can actually go to his cave, which I really wanted to do, but I wasn't able to because of the weather and the timing situation that we had. But it's solemn when you're out there, especially in the wintertime, because it is a little touristy, right? we were there and we saw a lot of people from basically tour groups come. They come with buses, so it's like a UNESCO heritage site as well, I think, or
Absolutely,
something
yes.
like that. So you have people of all kinds of confessions. We met some Lutherans, Sam and I. We were talking with them about Orthodox Christianity, and that even we're interested in the theology at one point. We were just talking about, here's why we're Orthodox. And he's like, wow, that's very interesting. I live in Germany, but he happened to be visiting a monastery with his wife. And so it's just all kinds of people are visiting, something like that, because you can also find it online. Hey, you get a ticket to this monastery, and it's beautiful. So people,
When you
people
say
do
a
it.
ticket, what do you mean a ticket?
You can find, so like tour tickets, if you will,
like
online.
like a
Not
bus
necessarily like a bus ride via tour agency. They do that, and so a lot of people that come to that monastery is for that reason.
But it's
Treat it like a cultural experience, but not necessarily a religious experience.
But there's not a ticket to get into the monastery. Anyone can go to visit the monastery.
Yeah, anybody can come and visit the
So
monastery.
they don't need like a ticket. It's a ticket for the bus to get there. You mean?
Yes, there might have been an entrance. If it's one of those scenarios where if you are visiting with a group, there might be some sort of situation like that. I don't really remember, to be honest.
Wow.
But amazing. I recommend everybody to visit monasteries, and St. John of Avila in particular, Bachkovo Monastery, where we stayed the night even, and that was nice to even eat with the monks and the Euman that was there, Bishop Sioni, and I have only nice things and positive things to say about Bulgaria. Then again, our trip was providential. I couldn't have thought of a better trip.
Have you read or heard the story of St. John of Avila, what his life is about?
Yeah, not until I went to Bulgaria. I didn't really learn about it until I was there, and it was explained to me. And
He started out as very poor. He was a shepherd. He loses the cow.
mm-hmm.
His boss beats him. He
Yeah.
goes and finds it. He puts his cloak on the water and he walks across the water.
Yeah.
And the boss sees him and apologizes and sets him free. He goes out into the wilderness. Really wonderful story. The Tsar of Bulgaria comes to him and offers him money and riches, and he's just like, "You're barking up the wrong tree."
Yeah, this is not what I want.
Yeah, you're barking up the wrong tree, buddy.
He's very much revered in Bulgaria as being like one of the enlighteners of Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Right? And then you also have Saint...
I think, what did he live in, 900? No, he lived in, like, what, it was like 1000s, I believe?
Yeah, I don't remember, to be frank. And then you have Saint Kirill and Athanasius, right? Who brought the Cyrillic language, or Saint Kirill and I think it was Athanasius who brought the Cyrillic language.
Cyril Methodius.
Yeah, Cyril Methodius.
They call him Kirill and Methodi because
Exactly.
they don't have a th. They
Yes,
say th.
Kirill Methodius. I got a beautiful icon of theirs. The entire story. Once you learn the history of these countries, you just feel a deep pride for the Orthodox Church. It's not just that. There's something to do with culture that matters, and that your roots are related to Christianity, and God willing, America becomes Orthodox. Like St. Pius has been paraphrased to say, like, America one day will become holy, and that's what it looks like is happening. God
It
willing.
is. I think what's happening is that you have the great religious destruction of culture in general, and so now it's, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
And the more homogenous a society you have, how do I say this? The more a sense of belonging that you have within that. And what we're watching now is the society. People are looking for a common point of interest, and it's, do they go to Catholicism? Well, that they have their ethnic issues as well. Do you go to Protestantism? Well, which type of Protestantism? Theologically, they're very different.
Yeah.
And there's, you see, like, what I've noticed in Protestant churches is that there's not much a sense of community. I mean, people just sort of show up, they, get their latte, they listen to this 30-minute lecture, and then there's some praise song sung, and then they go back to their week.
No, I disagree to an extent. There are some Protestants where that's their only emphasis, or the majority of their emphasis, where they have small groups and group leaders where they meet with one another on a certain day of the week outside of a service.
Yeah, they have their
where
small groups.
The small groups. So I see that, but it's like, how deep can you really go without an Orthodox worldview, right? You can, are we just going to sola scriptura away? Okay, so what did this verse in Scripture, like, how did this affect you today? It's like, okay, that's meaningful. At least we're reading Scripture, right? But what is it? How far do you actually go if your worldview, if the only truth of your worldview is found within the Orthodox Church, or whatever truth you have is because of the Orthodox Church, if you will, right? And people realize that there's that discontinuity there and the fragmentation, and yeah, the degradation of culture. There's no culture really. So what do? Well, people are becoming Orthodox. So now the person that maybe in another life, if you will, that if we would have been very culturally different, what unites us is the Orthodox Church.
Right.
And that's, I think, is the way America is headed, is Orthodoxy unites people. I feel closer to a lot of Orthodox Christians more so than sometimes my own family, because we can at least, you're connected you're connected by blood too.
Yeah.
Right? The Eucharist, you're connected, the Holy Communion connects us spiritually.
That was something I was telling something recently. I can go into pretty much any Orthodox church and immediately connect with people on that. Immediately have a circle of friends very quickly.
Yes.
We're sitting here. You're ethnically Romanian. I am ethnically British Isles, Irish, English, some German in there.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and we have a producer here who is ethnically Han Chinese. Right, we're all united through the Orthodox Church. I'm at a parish where the priest is ethnically Greek. We have another priest who's ethnically Romanian. The last guest on was ethnically Latino. We're all united through the Orthodox Church, and that's, it's ideology will unite culture, because the way that you have culture is you have shared customs, you have shared norms and values, and I don't think people quite realize how intense the in-group trust is. For years, I was an anonymous podcaster. There were hundreds of people who knew my real identity. No one spilt the beans for 5 years.
That's impressive.
No one.
That's impressive.
That's the level of in-group trust that there is in these communities. Now, of course, I didn't go around just telling people willy-nilly, and I told very few people, but they recognized my voice. And they just knew he wants to be anonymous, and they'd just see me and go, hey, I heard the show. And I go, let's keep that a secret. And they go, of course, yeah. Right? So that, I think what people are really looking for, and this is why so many young men are brought in, is a sense of community and of belonging and of a purpose. Right? They're not going to get it at a public school. Most of the male-only spaces have been completely gutted. And there's a very masculine feel to the Orthodox Church. It provides purpose. You have to fast. It provides structure for your life. Our lives here are governed by the fast. This Saturday is Cheese Fair Saturday. We both know that we can have cream in the coffee, but we're not going to go have chicken sandwiches. That's a given. We know that tomorrow, that's the last day of dairy until Easter. It's just understood.
Yep.
We know that our day begins with a set of prayers. It ends with a set of prayers. There's prayers that are said before meals. There's a certain moral code. This brings people, it makes a culture. And that's why for us, it really doesn't matter that there's like Romanian Orthodox, Bulgarian Orthodox. It's like,
we're Orthodox. Are you Greek Orthodox? No, I'm Orthodox. I go to a Greek parish.
Yeah,
but I'm Orthodox.
Yeah, I was received by the Antiochians. I've attended OCA parish, a Greek parish, Antiochian, depending on where I live. And that's the strength of Orthodoxy, is that it provides rituals for life in a way that other Christian denominations simply don't. It just simply does not. You can't go to a Lutheran church or a Catholic church and be like, well, these are the customs for life. It's, well, where's the fasting? That's major.
Yeah.
What you can eat, when, and how. That's pretty major.
Well, it's also very subjective, because the Pentecostals, they're very into fasting, but their idea of fasting is not our idea of fasting. Their idea of fasting is more of a supplicatory request, whereas, I need something really tragic is happening in my life or has happened. I'm going to literally not eat anything or drink anything for a day or two, for example. That's one form of fasting that I've seen. Who decides that though, and when and why? And why is it only based on supplication, right? Asking for something, when most prayer is not asking for it's glorifying God. It's asking for mercy, right? Repentful.
It's not an exchange. It's a method. It's a I fast so that I can be a better person. Yeah. Not a if I give you this, you will give me that, God.
Exactly. I fast so you can temper the body. If we can temper the body to an extent, then we can also temper our mind. We can temper
our mind is our body.
Well, our mind is our body, yeah, but we temper the passions within us that want to be oriented in an evil direction instead of orienting our passions towards Christ.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, anger isn't bad in and of itself, right? The anger is a part of our soul. The
There's a-
incentive power of the soul.
There's a righteous indignation.
Yes.
Don't let it
It's
turn to rage.
It's how you use it. Do you use it against your neighbor? Do you use it against your sin and the evil one, for
Mm-hmm.
example? Right? The fasting helps us with that. Gluttony is very much tied to lust.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fathers, Evagrius talks about it. The fathers talk about that, right? It's tempering the basic necessity to eat. Helps you, ideally, temper this, this lustful passion, right? This appetite, because the word lust in Romanian, it's both. That's appetite, right? It's this appetite either for food or appetite for fleshly desires that could be physical like that, right? It matters a lot, and so it's a tool to help us become like Christ, like you say. And I'm definitely not perfect. Like I try to become. I say I want to become like Christ, and I'm not even close yet. That's why my family's not even Orthodox. It's probably because of me. Honestly, it's a shame. And I have to speak, and I have to. Not speak, but I'll have to make an account for that because of how I've treated my family in the past and those that, my friends and the way I argue with them, right? I wasn't horrible, but it's the way that you can give people a bad perception. And so be careful what you say, right? Silence is something I should have learned a long time ago. But lesson learned, right?
There's also a place to be harsh.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to just stand for an untruth. Like, truth motivates me, right? So I'm going to... If you're going to blaspheme the Mother of God or Christ to my face, I'm going to tell you that you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about.
There's this attitude that when someone says something completely retarded in front of you, you're supposed to just be nice, and that's what being Christian is.
No, it's not being nice.
And it's like, it's not nice to let people be and to say nothing. You're not doing them a service. Well, if you speak in love, it's like, well, how you speak in love and politeness are all very cultural. I can guarantee you Romanians are probably a lot more direct than Americans would be comfortable with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm used to, right?
I mean, it's the luxury and the ease of life in America has made people soft. It's made them extremely soft.
That's very true.
And we're paying for it culturally, financially, spirit, everything.
Yeah, I mean, you saw what happens with certain files that get released, and even
Yes.
Father Spiridon Bailey online, he says this is almost a form of magic, right? They to your face, they like, this is what we do. This is what we do to your kids. This is what we do to your society.
It's a humiliation ritual.
It's a humiliation ritual, and what do? We're not angry enough, right? But also, our kingdom isn't of this earth, and God's gonna have the last word, right? But it's to an extent that still matters. Like how soft are we? How we become? Yeah. Right? Because if I saw that happening around me, you already know we shut that down. It's unacceptable.
There'd be crucifixions along the roadside.
Yeah, I mean, how do you make a millstone again, and how do you hang it around someone's? I mean, I don't mean to advocate for violence. That's not what I'm saying, of course. But what matters is you need to love truth. You need to love Christ, and we also can't hold justice in our own palm. But there's some accountability we have to give to our neighbor.
To protect other people.
Absolutely. And to protect our soul. That's why when they say something blasphemous, that's not true. Even if it's not nice to hear. Okay, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but that's just not true. And that's okay sometimes. But there's a way. There's a tactful way to talk to people. So if you're with your own family and you're trying to communicate with them, it's like, you guys are absolutely nonsense. It's speaking with anger, right? If I learn to remove anger in conversation and speak with love, but also truth, can feel harsh to the person receiving it if it's not what they want to hear, right? And that's
what's happened with the tone policing in culture is that anytime people don't like what they're hearing, you're uncharitable.
Yes.
You're mean.
Yeah, you hear what happens to Alex Soren in these debates that he has with Roman Catholics or Protestant apologists. It's like, okay, Alex, don't talk to me like that. It's like, whoa, relax. This is what you do in a debate. You challenge these premises.
These people are soft. They're effeminate, okay? They're very soft. And you can see it in the churches that they're in. There's no fasting, there's no real accountability, and it allows soft people to thrive. I mean, when you look at their content creators, living with baby mamas, harem of women on the side, morbidly obese, out of control anger. I mean, one dude who just goes around and I'm not gonna say his name, but he just stalks Alex basically online. Just obsessive, this obsessive gypsy. I mean, this is the people who create their content.
Yeah, and I get it. Not
And-
everyone's
and-
like that,
and
but
it shouldn't surprise us that the clergy is also. I mean, Roman Catholic clergy. When I joined the Orthodox Church, suddenly almost all the clergy are married men, and there's a very different feel to married men versus guys who go, okay, my whole life I'm going to be around women, but I'm going to be celibate.
yeah,
Those guys who are going to be around women but be celibate, there's something very, very effeminate about them. And I think that it attracts a certain type. And so if you have a church filled with that type, you're going to get a very fleshy, very weak, very effeminized church. And that's exactly what's happened.
yeah,
There is nothing so effeminate as not being in control of your emotions.
absolutely.
Whether those are gluttony, whether those are lust, whether those are anger, whether it's pride, whatever it is.
Well, even as a man, a huge expectation that is imposed on men, and it's a valid one to an extent, is to be a container of the chaos that a woman potentially can bring in a relationship.
That's right.
That
Okay.
you need to be a container of chaos, right?
So-
That's kind of the archetype of a man, for example.
Right. So there you go. Another theory in anthropology.
Yes.
If you look at humanity is always masculine, nature is always female. Okay. So female's mother nature, right? Humankind, mankind. Okay. So females are like the garden that the male then manages.
Yeah.
He keeps it in order. He keeps it, trimmed.
But
he makes it productive.
but a man who cannot control himself
There you go.
cannot be the head of a household.
Absolutely.
And that's what a lot of men, including myself, need to face each and every day. You need to, not obsessively, but you need to understand that the church gives us the tools to grow and to become like Christ, which is a form of sacrifice that leads to the consequences of self-control and temperance and all these the virtues, right? Acquire the virtues so
Yeah.
now you can lead somebody in virtue.
Well, and that's another problem with the red pill movement is that it's diagnostic, but it provides no actual answers. And
Yes.
Andrew Wilson talks about this constantly. I've started listening to his content recently. Really great stuff.
Absolutely. I agree.
And it's like, okay, yeah, women are this way. What are you going to do about it? Well, I'm just going to whine about it and complain about and I'm going to MGTOW. Oh, you're going to give up.
Yeah, you're gonna give up, or you go the other way. I'm just gonna sleep with as many women as I can if you have that option, if you have that optionality,
Right.
right? Or I'm just gonna go into hedonism and all these other,
Which is
explicit
also giving up. It's
Yeah,
also
yeah, you're
giving up
giving
control.
either direction.
Self-control.
But what's the royal path in all this? There's no prescription, like you said. It's just a diagnostic without a prescription. And the prescription is that if they give you one, they're both pretty bad.
It's just a bunch of whiny men is the red pill movement.
Yes, yeah.
And you look at some of these red pill influencers, like what was that dude, Wes Watson, who screamed at Andrew? Remember that? The whole
That's
like,
crazy.
show us your tummy. You don't shave your arms. Remember, he's like freaking out on Andrew Wilson. The guy ends up beating up some dude who shows up as Jimmy's back in prison.
Wow.
Out of control temper. Part of that's probably was on steroids. Okay.
Roid rage, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there really is only one way forward in masculinity, and that's self-control.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to learn a lot of that at the dojo. Yeah, okay. You learn self-control really quickly when punches are being hailed on you in a dojo or when you're being slammed into a mat. One of the worst feelings is when you're getting loaded up onto someone's back for a seoi nage and you just know you're going to get slammed into that mat. Okay, you learn a lot of that in the job place, sure.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just tell your boss, like, yeah, I think your ideas are stupid. You can't say that.
No.
You learn a lot of that running your own business because you have to interact with customers, every client you meet is your boss. But the place where you're going to get all of that together is in the church.
Yes.
You're going to learn really the complete mode of that. It's going to make you into a man. I'm watching, again, as these younger guys come in and they accelerate in maturity. And I think that culturally, the women will follow.
I agree. I mean, they're already starting to. It's not huge, but
They see the winds of change.
I've already seen people, single women, come to my parish and many other parishes like on their own, right?
Wow.
Yeah, have you not seen that? I've seen that quite a bit.
One girl who was ethnically Greek, she was a quarter ethnically Greek. And I mean, I've maybe met like 10 women who on their own. There's one lady I know who her brother, I'm going to try and get him in for an interview. He's a very funny guy. very, very funny guy. He got his mother and his sister into it, but it's very, very few that I've seen. But at the end of the day, males form culture, women carry it out. And the reason why the culture has gone totally awry is because of weak men.
Absolutely.
It's because men have not been doing their duty. It's because men are like, oh, she's the boss.
What's the adage nowadays? Oh, we've seen it. Like strong times create weak men create weak times create strong men.
Strong men should create great times, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just,
Where
are we at in all that?
You can
right?
blame the boomers all you want, but the fact is that almost all of us would have voted for the same, give me everything that the boomers had.
Probably. That's true. Yeah. And that even in our generation, my generation, there's a lot of blame to pass. But at the end of the day, we are in control of our microcosm. I have to make my bed. Like Jordan Peterson, there was that pipeline for a lot. I was kind of part of that pipeline. Make your own bed. What you do have control of, learn how to communicate. Get a job if you can find a job. I get in this economy, right? And try to grow in many different ways, including spiritually, especially spiritually, right? Seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you. But do make an effort to practically grow in different aspects of your life. See where you're missing. Am I even a good communicator? How many do I hold good conversations like you're saying? Well, if I'm not good, let me practice that. Well, what does that look like? Well, I start to read. What does a good conversation even look like? Start to learn from others.
Yeah,
right?
and I think, and it's one thing to tell people you guys need to learn to have a conversation. I think a good way for people to, I had my mother's very loquacious, and so I grew up with someone who knew how to talk, right? And so I had that advantage. I think that for so many of these people, they're raised by Gen X, and being raised by Gen X should qualify you for disability, but. Slackers deluxe or what Gen X.
Don't even get me started on the iPad kids and the pathologies of what you see with how it's starting to play out in society.
Yeah, I know, but I think something for guys, if you're younger and you don't know how to have a conversation, which is almost all of them, try and find a chick who's about 15 years older than you and just talk to her. Just have a conversation with her.
Yeah.
Just practice, and maybe just one of your mom's friends. Just be like, can I just learn to have a conversation by talking? I mean, start there. Because there's no pressure. She's 15 years older than you. It's just, she's not interested in you. You're not interested in her.
Well, a lot of it's mindset. What is a mindset when you're talking to somebody? For the most part, I want to what is a relationship even? With friends, it's you're willing to grow together in something, right? You have shared values and culture. When you're seeking a woman to court, you're really just trying to get to know her. Well, how do you do that? Well, you ask good questions. And obviously there's also a good priest, Father Joseph Gleason, who lives out in Russia right now and with this amazing family. He talks about being good bait, right? If women are the fish, also fish where the good women are at. You're not going to go to the bar. You're going to go to the church. You're going to go to church-related
I didn't find anyone on Tinder. It's
I refuse to. I mean, some people find their love of their life that way, but I refuse to look at online. First of all, it's too easy. If you see it that way, it's too accessible. If you will, not easy, but accessible.
Well, it's also
sloppy. It's I don't like that.
It's
organic only.
Yeah, a friend of mine who runs a relatively large business. He has this relatively large small business. He says the people who call you because of advertising are the worst customers ever. And what he says, and this ties into that, he goes, let's say you need a plumber. Okay, you're gonna ask your friends, hey, do you know a good plumber? Chances are one of your friends has a good plumber. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you don't, you're going to ask your electrician, you're going to ask your HVAC guy, whoever. Do you know a good plumber? Okay. The people who come to you from advertising are the people who ask their friends, and none of those plumbers were good enough. And they talk to the other tradesmen they have, and none of those plumbers were good enough. And they looked online in their local community's Facebook group, and none of those plumbers were good enough. You're getting the bottom of the bucket when you get people from advertising. Whoa, is that ever true? That's been my experience as well. It's the same thing with dating apps. When you go on dating apps now, these are the people who no one at church was good enough for them. No one at work was good enough for them. No one who lived on their block, if they even know their neighbors, was good enough for them. None of their friends knew someone who was good enough for them. You're getting the pickiest of the pickiest of the picky. You're getting people you really just don't even want. I think some people
Yeah.
chime into it just to see, and they go, whoa, and they walk away from it. I think the days of finding someone online who was quality are long gone, simply because.
Long gone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe in the early stages it was useful.
And I knew people
I've
who
met
did.
some people that way too. Great
Right.
couples. And I've never even explored a dating app myself personally, but I can only hear the horror stories.
Yeah,
and
now
I
it's
see-
just.
Yeah.
So, on to more happy topics. Okay.
Happy topics.
Training.
Yes.
You have to have a tremendous amount of protein in order to train. And I have a friend who does jiu-jitsu. He's in the church, and he goes, yeah, well, I'll follow the Lenten fast, but I'll still have dairy because I need protein or fat, to train. Or like, well, I don't follow the Wednesday, Friday. I go, come on, dude, you got it.
That's the bare minimum.
Right?
No excuses.
So how
No
do
excuses.
you maintain the fast? I mean, you go the full no meat, no dairy, all that stuff.
I follow it
How do
strict.
you get enough protein? Because the proof is in the pudding. You're able to set records on pull-ups, so you're eating enough protein. You're not loading up on carbs. You're not loading up on like hummus and chips. Where do you get your protein from?
God. No, well, it's a little bit of both, right? It's because I don't think I get enough protein, and you kind of have to make that sacrifice. Because at the end of the day, and I keep repeating this: seek first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you. And I started to look at the fact, because I didn't start street lifting until 2024, December of 2024. So it's only been a little more than a full year of me competing at a state and national level, even.
Wow.
And so I went into the street lifting debut and then started the fast training for nationals, hoping to get the pull-up record. Or I didn't know at the time, but I got it, right? How do I get my protein is you do and you don't, right? For me, if I would tell anybody, black bean burritos, add some potatoes and some vegetables.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Chipotle is like my go-to spot with the guacamole.
Yeah, well, add guacamole, things like that. You do the best you can. I don't overthink about it. I don't think about it too much. I do like pea protein. So pea protein powder is a really good vegan protein alternative.
That's the letter P.
PEA. No, the actual vegetable, right? Or bean, technically, that bean, the pea, right? Pea protein.
Okay.
There's different types of proteins that are Lenten appropriate. I don't think about it too much.
You just do it.
I just do it. For me, Lent is about
Sacrifice.
It's more about the services too. You know what I sacrificed during Lent besides all the food, right? That's hard enough, right? Am I in the back of my mind a little worried that I'm not getting my protein? Yes. Did I not get enough sleep last year during Lent? Yes. I was traveling a lot for work, trying to manage training within that. Was my recovery pretty shoddy? It wasn't as consistent as I probably should have been. All of those things, yes, but you know what? I'm going to trust God anyway. Whatever happens in competition, right? I can't complain.
Well, it's also like in an age when guys' T levels are plummeting.
Yes,
fasting is a great way to get them back up.
absolutely.
Because what is the science on it? That there's that study with Army Rangers who they go without food for 2-3 days and their testosterone drops massively. Then it goes straight back up once they start eating again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what they eat, what people eat is really important.
Yeah.
So you do black beans, red beans.
For me, my
rice,
classic
guacamole.
is bean burritos with some starch. I like, because you do need carbs, especially to exert all this energy, your muscles, the glycolysis process. You need to eat some sort of carbs. Rice is good. I used to ignore carbs altogether, but I had no energy for anything. I couldn't even lift. So there's a balance there that you start to approach.
Yeah, the keto diet. People who advocate for the keto diet for Orthodox Christians, what are you doing? Like, we cannot have meat half of the year.
Yes, exactly.
It's not going to work.
Yes. 100%.
So then you're going to end up you're going from like one extreme to the other throughout the year, and that's a horrible way to run a diet.
Yeah, so it's a horrible way to run a diet, but it's also don't think about. It's not only about the diet. Mm-hmm. You know, Lent at my parish we have salutations on Friday. We have great compline on Monday. We have pre-sanctified on Wednesdays. Wonderful. With a Lenten dinner after. I mean, we have 6 days out of the week, 5 or 6 days out of the week for services. And then we have book clubs. So no, you know, I'm sacrificing other things in my life. Maybe something leisurely or entertainment based. Like, I like winding down sometimes and just maybe putting something on the TV. I like YouTube, so I'll put like Orthodox YouTube. But maybe I put that aside so I can still go to services and then train on top of that outside of my professional life, because I still have to work and make money somehow. So Lent for me is about services and putting off and growing, right? Growing spiritually as well as physically. Will I maybe lose some strength? Maybe it's a possibility this year. Who knows? I have all of Lent and then 1 month later I'll compete at nationals in May in Colorado, and so I'll have a month to
What are you competing on?
in May in nationals.
Which exercise specifically?
So it's all four. So the street lifting nationals 3 is the third nationals competition ever in the United States. Weighted muscle up, pull up, dips, and back squat. And I'm going for the national record in my weight class.
On all of those?
The national total. So because street lifting, like powerlifting, is your total of all those lifts. Puts you on the podium. So if I have the heaviest total between all those 4 lifts, I'm number 1 in my weight class, which will qualify me potentially to go to Brazil at the end of the year, God willing. May it be blessed. But at the end of the day, I get it or not, I did the best I could, right? I'm like, okay, sure. Is this sport incumbent upon me, growing my fitness brand to sell the equipment for the sport? Yes and no. I've already showed people I train consistently, but I want people to beat me. I also want to beat myself. But it's not something I idolize, right? I don't idolize the looks.
It's not fun when you can beat everyone. It's not fun when you can even beat most people.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
Is it the challenge is gone?
Yeah, well, what matters is the journey, right? What matters is we're growing. I mean, I get messages on Instagram because I only downloaded Instagram for my brand. I never had a personal Instagram for many, many years. I hate social media, in fact. Yeah, but I use it anyway because I have to, not because I want to.
We're not for this stuff.
God willing, I can have a social media director. I already have a creative director who helps me, and they're absolutely great. And,
wonderful.
But I'm hopefully I build the team up enough so I can just have a social media team, so I can get off of it. But right now, my social media is me as an athlete, so kind of an athlete profile, and about to be soon releasing the qualified belts because it's still under qualification. And yeah, Lent is a great period. Actually, I'm happy Lent is typically around this time because I lock in even further than I already am. I mean, I'm consistent. I'll try to be even more consistent, but I prioritize the services before anything. I will hit the service, and then if I have to train in the evening, I'm going to do that instead. It's better.
Well, there's also that thing where people are like, well, it says eat what's put before you. And it's like, that is not in relation to whether or not you are following the fast. That's in relation. If anything, that would apply to something like kosher and halal meats. You can tell if there's steak on that. If there's steak in that burrito, pepperoni on that pizza, cheese on it, whatever. You can tell. People give themselves free passes constantly. And I know I was one of these people for a while until someone was uncharitable and goes, "You're better than that. Stop being a loser." Oh.
Dang, you're right.
Yeah, and I could have gone, it's uncharitable. Instead, I went, he's right. So, I mean, for you, are you one of these people who you read every ingredient on the side of a box? Some people are. Some people are like, the best advice I got was, if it's not an obvious ingredient, you can eat it.
Yeah.
Now, for some people like myself, I'm very, very, very lucky. I'm blessed with a wife who's very domestic. She's a phenomenal cook. She does all the cooking.
That's awesome.
I'm amazing. I'm very, very, very fortunate. And, I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I didn't realize that yogurt was dairy until about 5 years ago.
What? Yogurt was...
I thought it was like a soy product or something. I didn't know.
You know what I do stay away from is soy. I will stay away from soy.
Why is that?
I think I read at some point it's an estrogen mimicker.
I've heard back and forth
both.
On that.
At the end of the day, I don't eat soy, and it's worked for me, so I don't care. Really. Okay. Whether it's true or not, it doesn't. I don't have it in my diet. But I don't look at everything on the. I don't hyper focus on the labels. Although when it comes to protein powder, I've heard both ways. Priests give economia for take protein powder with whey, which is a milk derivative from milk, right? So the whey comes from milk and dairy. I just straight go for the vegan protein powder. It's still a sacrifice in and of itself to go vegan protein powder than whey protein powder, right? Yeah. But it's not about the letter of the law at the same time. So I don't try not to overemphasize one or the other. At the end of the day, is it something that's going to make me sacrifice? Okay, yes. Well, then is it harder for me to do? Yes. Okay, well then I probably should do it. Just like weighted pull-ups is pretty hard for me to do. I'm going to do it and train for it. And because I like it. And it's a fun modality of training, and it's the way I stay fit, and all these other accessories that help me stay fit on top of these compound lifts that I train and compete for. But I'm not going to idolize almost being a Pharisee for the fast. No, I'm going to take it seriously. That's what you got to emphasize. Take the fast seriously, but the food part is important, but the spiritual growth part is like put away anger. Like I'm going to practice trying not to be angry with my family. even more so than I'm already in. I'm probably pretty good, but the more you start to think about your state of holiness, like the less you're actually holy. So there's that paradox. So I try not to think about that. Just be better. Just be better.
It's also that people give themselves free passes, saying like, well, if what matters is you fast with the eyes. What matters is that you put away. It's like, well, no, it's not a either or. It's a both and.
Yes, it is a both
and you're going to be able to put away that anger more if you control your stomach. That's where self control starts, the stomach.
Yes.
And so the advice that I've always been given, is that if you don't know where to start with this, go to your priest and say, okay, what if I, and people do this whole, like, go ask your priest way too often. It's like, look, we have actual rules. A lot of the stuff you don't need to ask your priest about, because it's he's just going to tell you, like, look at the calendar for,
it's right there. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you go to him and go, look, I can't really do this yet because I'm lame.
Brand new or this or that. Like, wean into it too.
Right. Start with no meat, and then follow the rules on meat and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe you can only do no meat Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. If you cannot follow the rules on alcohol, you have really big problems.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then from there, go, okay, what if it's no meat? Go to your priest and go, look, is this acceptable? And then do that 1 year. Maybe you can do Wednesdays and Fridays, no meat. I mean, that's easy, right? Okay. And then slowly work it up to no dairy, right? And then slowly, and the idea is that we look for food as comfort. And the more you deprive yourself of that comfort, the more you just have to face yourself, warts and all. Warts, scabs, scars, deformities, and all.
Oh, well, it's also pleasure. It's a comfort, but it's also a form of pleasure, not just of satiation. A lot of people think, gluttony is about how much you eat. Yes, but there's a side of gluttony that is like seeking and deriving pleasure from what exactly you're eating. I could be fasting, yet if I'm deriving pleasure from this dessert that's very vegan, it's vegan dessert, and I love this dessert.
Yeah, and I had 4 of them.
And I had 4 of them, or even if you had one, but you can't live without that one every day at least, right? I start to think about that and myself. So even some things like I have a sweet tooth. I've been a lot better since I've been competing. Since I've been competing, I put away a lot of sweets. Alcohol, I've never had. I hate alcohol for the most part.
Sugar is the only thing I could describe myself as being addicted to. I love sugar.
So I start to contemplate on those things. Is what am I desiring pleasure from in terms of what's coming into my body, the food itself, not just quantity of eat. Like I pretty much do that on autopilot. But it's actually okay. Now what am I deriving pleasure from? That's another phase where I think people can take a look at, in terms of course with guidance from their spiritual fathers and godparents and growing in that sense, right? Don't like I said, don't just bludgeon yourself, right? I'm not even a good guide to myself. That's why everybody has a mentor, a spiritual father, right? I have a coach for street lifting. After I competed in nationals last year, I wanted to get even better. It was all in my head and what I did up to that point. I found someone to guide me after that point. And so, deriving pleasure from the things that you eat is something that I look into more consideration, because it's, I could follow the fast. Okay. But now what's better? What's not just better, but how can I grow even further than just that? Well, what am I actually deriving pleasure from?
Absolutely.
This chocolate bar, candy bar that could be fast appropriate, but I'm loving it and I need one every day. Maybe I should cut that out too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think another good thing is try and fast from social media as much as possible.
Yes.
I mean, I would delete my Twitter, except I promote my content through it.
And I'm kind of the same way for Street Lift. Thankfully, I only use my social media for endorsing street lifting events, right? I run this USA Street Lifting page with my team. I also have my personal, which is my brand one as well. But do I want to? Not really. Do I want to get away from it? But for me, it's a means to an end. It's a tool I use for growing the sport and growing the athlete base, because I want more people to do street lifting. That's my goal. I want people to train pull-ups, train dips.
Well, okay, so there you go. All right, so this is something I forgot to bring up earlier. There's so many people are depressed. It's like, yeah, you're this flabby, fat soy boy. Like, get out there and actually, well, I can't do a push-up. Yeah, neither could I at one point.
Yeah.
Neither
you should have seen me in the beginning. I was the skinniest twig around. I was that guy.
I mean, I do judo with a guy who told me the story. He started getting in shape in his 30s, and he's like, yeah, I could do like 2 push-ups, right? And I was like, okay, how did it start? And he goes, well, one day I got to 2.5. And I just did 2.5 several times a day. And then it was 2 3/4. And then it
Yes.
was 3. And then it was 3.5. And then it's like you just keep going.
That's life.
And so many people think, well, if I can't do them in sets of 10, it's like if you can crank out an eighth of one,
Yes.
do it.
That you have to start somewhere.
Except that you like the failure is not starting. The failure is giving up. The failure is skipping days.
Yes.
The failure is saying that I'm not going to go a little bit further because I'm afraid of failing. That's the real failure. Of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to be consistent in whatever it is you want to do. Even in athleticism, even in working out. What if people judge me or that? Just don't think about other people. Think about yourself. Think about growing.
That's right.
Even if it's, I can't do a pull-up yet. Can I even do street lifting? Yes. Start with bands. Assist yourself.
Yep.
Do the assisted pull-up machine and dip machine. You should see how many guys in my parish are starting to do muscle-ups now because we've been training together. We've been training for a while now, and they're getting absolutely strong. And God willing, they compete too.
Isn't it?
Here pretty soon.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Great, like prep for doing pull-ups is the I can't. It's where basically you take a low bar, you lay under it, and you pull yourself up that way.
Yeah, so like
That's
Australian
one.
pull-ups, they call like like upright rows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good starting point if you can't do
Gets
pull-ups.
the rhomboids really strong,
Yeah.
and those support you. I have to do those.
What I
'cause-
tell people, just get on a band, get on a thick band or two,
Rotators.
rotate, like wrap it around the bar, get both feet on it, and do pull-ups assisted. That's how you get to do a couple sets of 8 to 10 or whatever. Do some volume, then go for strength as you start to
you
drop
might need
the
some
volume.
pretty heavy bands for 8 to 10.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but everyone has that.
You're gonna get
point.
there eventually.
Find that point where you can start, stimulating your muscles to to fatigue. Then you adapt,
And
week
you're gonna
by
feel
week.
better.
And you feel better. Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the thing is people, well, why do I feel better when I exercise? Well, okay, there's a scientific reason, but also just go do it. Yeah, and I find that most people, and this is one of the things with the Latin and Greek classes, most people can find this material online and just follow it themselves, but they need a schedule to keep them busy. And when you're in a group and you have accountability partners, and you got to get in a group. This is why dojos are important. This is why just going to some EOS fitness down the street. You're not accountable to anyone there.
Yeah, well, unless you're accountable to yourself. Right?
Yeah, and most of us have a hard time with that.
Most of us do. I do train a lot by myself, but a lot of the times I do train with guys from my parish.
Well,
which is great.
And they're going to ask you and be brutally honest. Like, look, I haven't trained in 3 weeks.
And
okay.
I'm like, let's run it. Let's go.
Go now.
Let's go to the gym, and you're gonna do what you're capable of doing. You're literally gonna follow the same program I'm following, but at your level. Just dial it back. You're just we're on the same ladder. You're just a couple steps behind me on the ladder. If that's when we train together. But
that would be quite the accomplishment to be a couple steps behind.
But then you see the level of growth. I'm like, guys, you're now doing weighted pull-ups. These guys are doing muscle-ups that I'm training with. I mean,
it's amazing.
It inspires me more to train more and to get people. And this flywheel just keeps spinning, and that feedback loop happens. I find I derive a lot of meaning from seeing people become better versions of themselves physically too, but also in other ways as well. But physically, it seems like I found the niche that I'm supposed to be in to an extent, and God willing, this grows in ways that I can support guys like you and Alex Soren and guys Cleave to Antiquity Online, right? Financially even, because there's an aspect to being a benefactor to things like that, and to various parish endeavors and different things like that. There's God willing, if that's the way things are supposed to go with the business, may it be blessed. Otherwise, be content with wherever God puts you. And so that's why I don't try to be too worried about competition. I train for it. I'm very intentional, and I have a coach, and he's like, you better do this, this, and this, and I do my best, right? And I probably don't eat enough, and I probably won't this Lent, and that's okay.
Well, there's that you have that coach. There's that a structured version of males apprenticing one another. Right, males will naturally fall into. I've noticed that males will naturally fall into that sort of being apprenticed role. Mm-hmm. And what's happened with so many Gen Z guys is they've just been told, no, that's not good, or they've been cut off from it, or they're raised by really weak men, Gen X. And they're just sort of lost. It's like, well, where do I go? They're afraid of, I've noticed that a lot of males are very fear oriented. They think about things in terms of what could go wrong.
Yes.
Not in terms of what could go right and then planning B, C, and D. What's my plan B for this if it goes wrong?
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between going, okay, I'm going to aim for A. If that goes wrong, I'm going to hit B. If that goes wrong, I'm going to hit C. If that goes wrong, I'm going to hit D. I'm running for A. And on the other hand, going, I want A. Things could go wrong. I'm just terrified.
Yeah. Well, that's street lifting. For example, in a competition day, I have scenarios planned out in advance. Okay, if my warm up goes great in my first attempt, which is something I know I can hit because I've hit it in training, my first attempt just flies. I'm going with best case scenario. We jump those numbers up, and my second attempt is going to be maybe a PR, right? And if that goes really well, then I, with my coach, kind of in my back pocket, in my corner, hey, you're going to do this for your third attempt. Break that PR again. And so you have those scenarios planned out and fleshed out so that you're thinking proactively. Yeah. But it's even with women. It's like guys, unfortunately, think, oh, what if she doesn't like me? Dude, that's the wrong mindset. It's, I wonder what she's like. That's the mindset. I wonder what kind of heart she has, right? Those are the kinds of things you want to think about. And how do you get to that realization? Well, you ask good questions. I go back to that a lot, or start to communicate better. But also having the world, the mindset. It's not about what if she rejects me? What if it's fear-based? If you're in a position where you know yourself enough and you're confident, because confidence, what is confidence? Like doing something very well and knowing how to do it very well. That's what, because I'm confident speaking because I've probably done it so much professionally and things like that. I'm used to it. But if you don't have that kind of skill set, well, to build that skill set, you build the confidence. So I built that confidence for street lifting, thankfully, in the last year, and I hope to continue growing and inspiring people and growing the sport that I like to train in and host for, and just, like I said, I get messages and it inspires me to see other people inspired by me.
You have accomplishments behind you. You have accomplishments behind you. That's what makes you confident. And that's what I think a lot of younger guys have issues with is that, what are their accomplishments? Well, I beat whatever video game. They were always too terrified to try anything outside of that. My parish priest says I get constant inquiries about the Orthodox Church, and it's like, okay, well, you have to show up to church now. Well, I'm afraid.
Show up. Why are you afraid?
Yeah, like, well, I'm afraid I might not know people. Well, of course you don't know anyone.
Yeah.
And so I tell people all the time, if you show up to St. John the Baptist Orthodox Church, I'm in the back right, usually in this raised area. You can stand next to me. I will introduce you to people. I will lead you through, show you the service book, everything.
God bless you, because we do need that. We do need that for people.
I will be that annoying person who hunts down people and goes, are you new here? Are you new here? Are you new here?
I'll do the same. I've never met you before. Let me connect you to everybody.
We have to get people at doing that, because if you get people a community, they're way more likely to stick around than if you just go, essence and energies.
Yeah.
Maximus, St. Maximus Confessor.
Yes.
Did you know that, were you properly baptized?
Yeah, if you don't know the transcendental argument for God, I don't even want to talk to you. Right?
Yeah, it's these people get loaded up on, like, some dude going off on rebaptism or some guy going off on essence energies. It's like, look, are you praying each morning and evening? Are you at least abstaining from meat during the fast? Are you avoiding adult content? Are you reading the scriptural lessons for the day? Are you reading Orthodox literature?
Are you showing up to the church?
What are you taking in? Okay. Once you have those handled, then we can start to talk about patristics.
Just like even in sport, baby steps. You got to start somewhere, and you work your way in growth and in development, and hopefully in community too, and that your networking community starts to grow. The more people you know at your parish. I still meet people at my parish that have been attending for years because it's so big. I'm thankful I have a big parish, a lot of young adults, but that's still happening. It's continual effort, right? Your entire life.
Yeah, it's you have to get involved in a community. I mean, if there's one piece of advice you can give to people in their 20s who are looking into Orthodox Church, what would it be?
Just get to the door. That's the hardest part. Just like it is for the gym or anything in life, is getting to the door is the hardest part. Open that door and you're in the gym, and then you're working out. Open that door and now you're worshiping. You may not even know what's going on. My first time, I had no idea what was going on. Intellectually, I knew every theological argument on defense of the church, but I had no idea what was happening in the liturgy. And I thought, what is going on here? But my heart was softened. And that's the advice. Is just show up and continue to show up and continue to show up and maintain consistency in showing up. You have access to the services. You have access to the community around you. Leverage that.
Yeah, you can't be a mentally an Orthodox Christian.
No, not at all.
You have to show up to the services.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you haven't shown up in 3 weeks. Just show up this Sunday. Just show up Saturday for Vespers. Just show up.
It goes back to...
And go to the priest and go, I'm super socially awkward. Please set me up with someone who can just help me make friends.
Yeah, connect
Just
me
be
with-
straight up.
Yeah.
And if you
That
can't
happens.
say it, write it in a note and hand it to the priest.
Yes.
It's like the anxiety that paralyzes people is
Mm-hmm.
really heartbreaking.
Yeah, a lot of that's learned, unfortunately. But it goes back to...
Oh yeah, they've been crapped on by these resentful, angry wails of teachers.
I mean, what they see online and even maybe other experiences, I'm sure. You make time for the things you care about. At the end of the day, if you love your wife, you're going to make time for your wife.
That's right.
Over your career,
That's
right?
right.
If you love Christ and his church, you're going to make time for Christ and his church. You're going to go to the services, right? I think about this, like, how can I be timely for the gym and I'm late to Divine Liturgy? And I'm a chanter. I go and I'm a reader. So I chant at Holy Trinity. I'm by far the worst chanter, so I'm still learning so much. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Street lifting, great. Chanting Byzantine notation,
Really difficult.
really well.
Yeah.
Beyond street lifting in terms of difficulty. But it's meaningful too. And you make time for the things you care about. So how can I be late for church when I'm not late for work? No. I'm going to be on time for church. I'm going to try to attend every service because I don't miss the gym. I'm not missing any services then. I give it to I bludgeon myself in that way because I have to.
You're hard on yourself.
I'm
not
hard on
other
myself.
people.
I have to. Yeah. I try to be an example for my family and I'm probably a bad example, but I'm doing my best, right? Like everyone should try their best, but you make time for the things you care about. That's what I think about. That's kind of how I live. If I love Christ, I'm going to make time for Christ. You're going to pray and you're going to go to church as much as you can. Because at the end of the day, the world is crumbling around us. We're consuming slop mentally and physically. There's no saving grace outside of growing spiritually, mentally, and physically. Like we're given all this by God.
It's the fall of the Roman Empire. The reason why it feels like that crisis of the 3rd century is because it is the crisis of the 3rd century. Empires fall on a formulaic basis, and we are absolutely spot on that formula.
I absolutely see it. But part of the consequence is now this resurgence.
And there's nothing you can do about it, so guess what? Go to church.
Yes.
Do the morning prayers.
Yeah.
Fast. Be part of your community.
Work out. Maybe do some pull-ups. Do some street lifting, right?
Do some street lifting, absolutely. All right.
Love that.
Well, Nick, it's been phenomenal having you on. Come back on whenever you're in town. I want to hear updates on your records. I want to know exactly where things are going. Your information is going to be posted in the video description so people can get in touch with you.
Absolutely.
And it's a pleasure having you on.
It's been an absolute honor, Denny. Thank you. And yes, please, anybody reach out to me if you have any questions about anything, although I'll point you to a spiritual father for most religious things, but if you have street lifting comments or what have you, I'm here for you.
Excellent. All right.
Love you, Danny. Appreciate it.
Love you too.